hotel, but we stayed house awesome as well. That is change, real change. High rents, rapine and confusion, till Scarrow's housing revolution. That is change, that is change. Labor working, 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 labor working.
Today we walk forward into the future, a future that for generations we have talked about.
Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Iscariot called Wednesday a signing a proud moment.
After today, the airport will begin to rise out of the ground, then from the ground to the air. And I give you the solemn assurance that planes will land here, direct from Europe and the United States of America in 2025.
Yes, me again, the enlightener. We got to build a better place, a better country. Having a change of heart. Rome never built in one day, neither built in 2 days. It takes some time to build Dominica like this. But because of greed and jealousy, free men want progress immediately. That is why this country in jeopardy. But if we see it and we realize and then we analyze, it takes time to build up our country. Build my country.
Build my
Because
country.
build my nation.
Build our
I
nation.
believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity. Come on and build our country.
Build our country.
Build our nation.
Build our nation.
I believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity. We got to make this nation a better place. Yeah. The politician parasite always sit here and criticize every good work Dr. Scary do in this country. Men with wrong philosophy, different mentality, working hard to put down my country. But if we see it and we take a stand, and then we understand it take time to build up my country. Build my country.
Build my
We got to
country.
build my nation.
Build our
I
nation.
believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity. Come on and build our country.
Build our country.
Build our nation.
Build our nation.
I believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity.
The construction project will be executed in 5 phases, valued at just over $1 billion Eastern Caribbean dollars.
I love my country with all my heart, but them politicians want to carry the parties like they want to keep me in the dark. But if we journey right back to the start, we'll find things we never got. So give thanks for all that we have got. Build my country.
Build my country.
Build my nation.
Build our
I
nation.
believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity. Come on and build this country.
Build our
Let's
country.
build our nation.
Build our
I
nation.
believe in prosperity and I'm crying for unity. This is the enlightener, being up Gregory Joseph. Big respect every time.
And earthworks shall commence before the proverbial cock crows 3 times, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, give him Donald, Donald. I wondering who shot Donald, Donald. I wondering who shot who. Give them. Gala gala dang dang. Gala gala gala. him to lose, want him to win. If ever you lose, you go home and dress your bruise. Come back again in another game. Hey, O'Donnell, O'Donnell, you remind me of he. O'Donnell, O'Donnell, swear you both a family. When you storm the capital building, then inside your bunker hiding, it's the same thing Uncle would do. When you incite violence, then claim your innocence, it's the same thing Uncle would do. Hey, O'Donnell, O'Donnell, you brought back so much memory. O'Donnell, O'Donnell, it's like you're patterning and we. Same thing Uncle would do. When you broke and burn it up, same thing Uncle would do. And mash it up, same thing Uncle would do. Lord, Donald, Donald, I want to know who taught who. Donald, Donald, I want to know who taught who. Give me. Angalang dang dang, bang bang galang dang lege, bang bang galang dang dang. Lord, blaming world police in everyone business. Yes, you care police, your stinking business. The world look with awe as you rage your war, and like a hacksaw, you hacked through the law. Hey, O'Donnell, O'Donnell, your planning was strategic. O'Donnell, O'Donnell, you make lawmakers panic, right? When you storm the capital building, then inside the bunker hiding, it's the same thing Uncle would do. When you incite violence, then you claim your innocence, same thing Uncle would do. Hey, O'Donnell, O'Donnell, you brought back so much memory. O'Donnell, O'Donnell, it's like you're patterning and we. Same thing Uncle would do.
Yes. Good evening to you wherever you are listening across Dominica to the north, south, east, and west coast of the beautiful Nature Island. It is indeed another Tuesday evening right here in the Commonwealth of Dominica. I want to say a special welcome to our listeners in St. Lucia, St. Martin, Anguilla, St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Island. I want to say a special big up to all the folks who are listening in the United States and Canada. A special good evening to you in, of course, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Saka, Fête, Oswella. Alors, moi les souhaiter autres bonsoir. It indeed was a wonderful day. Of course, a hot day here in Dominica. I'm not sure if it rained in certain part of the island because you know how it is on the Nature Island. Sometimes it rains in the countryside in the east coast and down in the west coast into the city sometimes are very dry. But I want to say a special big up to you wherever you are driving your vehicle on the highway. Of course, want to shout out the folks who are always tuning in on the Kyrie FM Facebook page. A special good evening to you all. Many of you are always logged in so early. So I want to say a special big up to you. Always, of course, participating in the discussion and want to big you all up. Of course, a special welcome to each and every one of you. Always joining us every Tuesday, every Saturday right here. Of course, as we continue our discussion here on the political issues that are happening in our beautiful country, Dominica. As you know, it is a very interesting time this week. We just witnessed the DLP finally getting over this matter of this case, that have been battling before the court. Tonight, we are going to spend some time and examine further some of what the opposition leader said. It's just so amazing how this man thinks. But we're going to play some audio for you tonight to listen to him and Nicholas George, and you're going to just think of this man and see why he is not suitable more so again to be the leader of this country, beautiful nature island, Dominica. We will be going through that. But before we get into any sort of discussion tonight, I'm going to begin by taking your calls. The telephone's already going. So, caller, good evening on the local line.
Good evening, Simeon.
Hi, good evening.
Yes. Well, you're locked in with Miss Lady D, and I'd like to say good night to the PM, his wife, his kids, and family. So, Simeon, what I'd like to say tonight there. All my laborers, good night. I'm just going to say something there now. So, what Nicholas George really believes in, Simeon. So, what it means? You want to plan a coup or whatever. Tell him, I say, we are not in 1979, no more. They did all what they had to do. But this time there, they won't get away with what they fly drone above the Prime Minister's house.
Yes.
And all of them get set free. So tell them when they come in, come good. And they had a barrel of guns. Up to now, we have never heard anything about that barrel of guns. Nobody does know where it passed, what happened to it. And people talking about that business of that barrel of guns because they had anything about it. Tell Nicholas George, I say, to behave himself. If he's sick, go to the doctor for them to give him treatment. And he mustn't forget what he did to a priest. So all that have him going. Leave me up a charm here. He better behave himself. And no time you see that man in church to read. Since I see he'll walk out. And I mean it, and nobody's stopping. I'm not going to church for nobody. I'm going for myself. But anytime that he's going to read, I will surely walk out. Yes. The man too out of order. He too rude. He have got no respect, and he say he was a big time police. Right? So they want to crucify Dominica, crucify us for what? For power. Tell him to go and shake his sacred. I said this school. He have been here, you know, because the priest, he beat a priest, and he find himself in psychiatric unit for a priest he beat. So we can never tell him that priest don't shake his Hilton on him. He better behave himself. And he better don't see and call me, cause nothing, because he want to kill me too.
So, you mean he beat a priest in Colio?
Yes. Yes, he woke up in the presbytery and he fight down a priest. You never hear that?
I heard that, but I mean, now that you raise it publicly, I want to just engage you a little bit on it because I know you from Colio.
Yes,
and obviously, you would know the details on that matter more than I would.
Yes, when I heard that, I run down. And it's a fella that go and take him out on the priest. The priest was bleeding. Right? I am not telling lies. That happened. Who don't know, the young generation now don't know about it. But I know about it. Right? So he better behave himself. You can never tell him that priest don't shake his Hilton on him. And also it have him going. He better don't call me, not to interfere me, because he will get my tongue very hot. He will get it. Now disrespect him. I don't have nothing to do with him. He's too out of order. You cannot do those things there. For what? For power? For power? You want to do those things there? You cannot just behave yourself. Keep yourself quiet. Because what I will feel in there, I will surely get it.
Yes, I. Thank you, my dear. Why? All right. Yes, I. Yes, I. You gonna beat a priest? Yes, don't mess with God people, especially them real ones. You see them pastors and them kind of anything possible for those days. You can give them water coming for them because those days they playing hardcore politics or you get any politics, but you ain't going to church and slap them, you know. Let them do their thing. But shit, guys. Caller on the overseas line there, good evening.
Good evening to you, handsome. How are you? How are you? How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm all right, and you? How are you doing?
I'm there, always shining like a rose. Well, yeah, I like to see you.
Yeah, I said it. I said it like a rose.
You like the age. Everybody's getting younger. How is the family?
Everybody will fine, thank you. God bless you, though. Yes.
Okay. You don't know SM is in your house.
Yeah, man.
Anyway. Mr. Tits, heartbreaking news this morning. Nicholas George. One can imagine this, you know, that test. So the linear patch and there's what. Zaka Vini, I see, Premier Minister was on the first. Awete, linia za Aisha shel linia azot. Donc we steve linia azot. Mais laissez premier ministre nous pour nous. D'accord?
D'accord.
Eh bien, bon gars là, what is happening? They don't arrest that man yet. If he has in this state, long time they don't arrest him. Missing and hold his story backside for questioning.
Yeah, bring for questioning.
Behave yourself. Okay, c'est pas le premier ministre qui te commenter. C'est, how they say, the priest shake his robe over your head. That will have you désolé. Behave yourself.
Yes, I.
Saint Martin is in the house.
Yes, I. Big up to Saint Martin there. All right, my dear. Yes, I. The priest shake the thing on him. He has some kind of leave, yeah. The kind of things he say there. Call a good evening on the local line. Good evening. Caller, you're live. All right, I'm not sure what happened to you there. You missed that chance. Overseas line caller, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mr. Albert.
Hey, good evening, my brother. My brother, what's up?
This is Mr. Chotsky here. Mr. Chotsky.
But I heard you.
I would like to say,
I heard you was hemorrhaging in your brain. But how you didn't make it to ICU, Mr. Chotsky?
I'm very happy to be going home to beautiful Antigua. That's my home. I'm very happy. I would like to thank Loftus and Mr. Linton. And my wife will be cutting them a check soon. As soon as I get home this week, my wife will be sending both of them a nice fat check. It was nice in Dominica. I'm healthy as a bat now. I'm very healthy. Did you see me walking in the hospital?
I saw you with your short pants and your shoes and looking like you were in the Kempinski.
Did it look like I was hemorrhaging, Simeon?
That didn't quite seem so to me at all.
Well, I'm going back home. Wait for your check. It's coming.
Right, my brother. Oh boy, I tell you, this Choxy thing is just a big joke, you know, sometimes. Caller, good evening on the local line.
Good evening, Simeon, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you, God bless.
All right, to say good evening to Zetma. Zetma, I feel you tonight. Hi, Martin, good night. Let me tell you something, Simeon.
Tell me.
Mr. Ibu, I don't know what is wrong with him. Because you can't tell me a big man like that was in the force. And then you threaten people like that. You could imagine what you do people cheering when he was in the force. But one thing I know, labor rights not troublesome. They're not troubling people. But when you see you wake them up, I'm sorry for you, Mr. Ibu, right? And his leader not telling him to not say those things. How you can mention something about gun and think for people? All of us are Dominican. The Dominicans think, all of us thinking in it. If it come rich, all of us rich in it. That is our country. I was watching a video where Freedom and Labour and Workers jumping together in the rally they have wherever they're going to have the election. Nope, Labour are not pushing them nothing. They're jumping together as Labour right in blue, Labour right in red. What is it with all you? You sell yourself for food, for music, for drink. When you finish, you parley. So who you blaming, right? One thing I know, Labour right. You see, like when you have who dance, that is Labour right. When you look them noise. And B, when you used to go to school and you see business, you send a stone or you prick it. And then the distance start to run and run behind people and people running for cover. That is how labor rights are. But I warning him, karma not making joke. And that man have to behave himself. You want to kill people for what? When you see people partying, all you hear, we don't just like what we do in Haiti. People not stupid like before. Or you mash up airport, or you almost kill a lady, cut her neck to put in bucket, or you put fire all about, nobody having all you know yet. It's time they hold Mr. Ibu and put him to prison. Question, they have to question him. Mr. They reach too far. Dominica is our own. What you want to kill people for what? All you lose, all you well lose. 18 free, behave all yourself. All you want to make people and say, all you win, all you can win. All you want to cut neck, put in fire, making calypso on people, all you done what, nobody never take all you to court. But what the Prime Minister do all in life already? He put himself behind. When it is raining, people don't even know when they go outside. They say, oh, it is raining there. I don't even know. They pray for a weekend to come now. We can welcome people at their home. Why some people still suffering? Labor are still suffering. My brother still crying. He didn't get a house, and his house fall on him. And workers say, oh, you don't get house, vote them still. Right? And that makes him more vexed. All you hate the man for what? When the hurricane passed, hurricane fall, everybody takes it. Young, old babies, everybody takes it. Blue, red, green, everybody takes it. So why have the man up? The man doing good for the country. But I telling them, me, if you think labor rights talking, touch scary, touch people, and they will see what will happen to them. People, they are not can touch gun. When you see Mr. He would take that gun there and crank it, it's going to hit him right in his mouth, backfire back in his mouth. If he think, pray have to have him haunted. Look right over here and he beat a priest, be unto him. See you and good night.
Good night to you, my dear. Hey, man, he got beat a priest. And let me pick up the people there in Lucia there because Lucia, big election going on there now. Why? But the campaign hot up there. You know, the UPP, the Shasta government versus the Labour Party there. And I'm telling you, the campaign hot. But you know, Shasta had a big time motorcade there on the weekend there. Next thing you know, Labour Party going to have one on the weekend coming. Shasta decide to tell his commissioner of police, no more motorcade. Boy, there is something, man. Hey, don't know how Shasta can stop that. On the overseas line there, caller, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, my Professor Simeon. How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm all right on you, Steph. What's up, man? How things going?
Things going good. I hear you cracking up, boy. You're getting a lot of jokes. That's why your face have to stay young as that, and because too much joke on that.
I know.
Boy, yes, and you can, and you're laughing with taste, eh? You're laughing with taste, and as you're laughing, so I laughing.
Yeah, a lot of great. Okay. I'm happy to listen to the people.
Yes, boy. Yes. That is something. There's a therapy for you, man.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Let me tell you. That man, they call him Chucksy or Chucksy or Chupstick, whatever his name is. That man needs to, all you need to send that man home, boy. That man put in a lot of problem and division in Dominica.
Well, as far as I understood, he got bail, you know. I heard from his, his usual defenders that he got bail and he'll be going back to Antigua for checkup, they say. So...
But where that man come out? We don't know the man from nowhere.
He granted bail on. He's on $10,000 bail to seek specialized medical attention in Antigua.
And he coming back to Dominica.
Yeah, I waiting to see. I hope he come on the plane this time.
When Mr. Chupsi come out, Lord have mercy. They have the man all up there, the other side, the UWP, and them. I'm mourning with that. I'm mourning that man is at. I heard they said the man is a trillionaire. So does UWP? As for the leader, you know this thing already is 1.2 he looking for or 1.3 he looking for. So that man may be full of that. So they have him close by, and I hear him saying the man walking up and down in the hospital like he's the major, a major in the hospital, boy. But yeah, not a little thing we hearing out here. We hear Chucksy come out. We hear that man come out, Chucksy. Chucksy leave Dominica and go and stop putting problems. Dominica have enough of problems already to deal with. You understand, with the UWP. So that man need to go. That man Chucksy. And another thing again, I see that man. The man walking in a short pants. I see a video where the man is a short pants, sit down in a wheelchair where somebody pushing him. I believe is the opposition that push opposition. More and the money, they say the bag of money under his bottom, you know. So they boy, Dominica have jokes, boy. I cannot believe. They need to stop that. It's best we unite than dividing like that.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
I never seen something like that. When Rosie Douglas was wrong, our party was doing well. Labour Party was doing well with the Freedom Party. That UWP just come out from nowhere. It's just like one of those days, rain come out from nowhere. It just turned dark in New York, dark. So it's just like that. UWP come out from nowhere and trying to putting division in the place. You understand? And at the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters. One Dominican. We are one Dominica. So why we should be fighting each other like that? These people, and Lennox Clinton not even telling Chucksy or Chucksy to at least read a verse of Bible for him and tell him to repent of his sin and show people where the dollars he hiding there, they're looking for him. Where it is. You understand? God repent of his sin. He need to repent of his sin. These people that need to go to Jesus and give Christ their life and everything will be fine. Then having Dominica like they want to do Dominica like Haiti, man.
See.
What that man doing in the place? They need to take out that man in the place. Chuksi, go back where you come out. Go back to Antigua. That's where they say that you were. Go back to Antigua. Stay in Antigua, and I don't know the bail. He has to come back and sing bail. Ella, all you have to watch him man good way. Ella, watch him good. Watch that man good when he coming back to Dominica. Simeon, we don't hear nothing. We don't nothing like that.
I'm not sure Chuck will come back to Dominica.
He needs because he needs to go back. Let Antigua deal with this man.
Let me give you a part of his condition. The court ordered that Choxy will only return to Dominica when a doctor certifies that he is fit to stand trial. Well, if Choxy could stay in our hospital from the 29th of May he live in Dominica up to now, Choxy stay in our hospital. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know. I don't think. And Choxy don't go in court, Choxy getting his doctor to say he can't attend court. But the best part is I never, all I can say, everybody I hear that have a problem where is bleeding in their brain is ICU, and very likely sometimes they don't survive that. And Choxy seems to be moving very well with that. I would like to see a picture. I want to see if he's on a stretcher. They bring Choxy in the plane for him to leave Dominica from the hospital.
that man is a time bomb, That man they put their brain in Dominica is a time bomb. I already checked it out already. That man is a time. Get on, go go Antigua where you come out. Go, let them take care of you. Or go back. When Antigua tired, if they'll send you to Libya, not Libya. What is the place?
India.
Go back to India. That man, I never see a man like that in my country.
It's not good.
You don't think we need to send him back? They need to go with him, follow him. He has the money. He'll show them where the money is. Okay?
Well, they have to eat.
Anyway, yes, they have to eat. They after the money. More. You don't hear that money?
Yes.
Money. How they say that? The other thing saying, money talk bullshit work.
Yeah.
That is what that's going on there with Choxy and the UWP. But you see what had happened? Look, I saw on the news there. They caught the guy from Haiti. The guy was working outside in the state, outside, and all the other guys that assassinated the man, the president of Haiti, was Colombians, They have seen the news, yes. So all you have to watch good. You don't know if that one is a time bomb. They see something, he come and watch and try to see how he can go around. You only have to be careful with that man. Or you WDP, Dominic, I don't know say the Dominican. All you have to be careful because Dominica belongs to us. The Prime Minister is our Prime Minister. He's from Dominica. The blood that running through his vein. That is a man he is. He's not God. He is not God. He is a man just like us. And all you need to respect that man better than that. What all you want to do with him? Eat him, drink him, swallow him. But I tell you, if all you try anything, all you have something coming for all you. Something coming for all you. When all you doing these things to people. You understand?
Yes.
Let us live in peace and in unity. Let us love each other. Let us take care of Dominica. We have people living in Dominica, not animals, and people don't even treat animals like that. Simeon,
yes,
let me leave you alone. I will talk to you next time. I just give in my stuff.
Yes.
And that's it.
You're welcome.
You need to go.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, man. All right, there. Thank you for your call there. All the local idea caller, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Anyway, I would like to say good night to my auntie Irma down at Kenfield, my good friend Tessa down at Kenfield,
yes,
and to my 9 children. Rosal Central Bath Estate locked in.
Yeah, man. Yes, I. All right, there. Special big up there to Rosal Central, there, Bath Estate. What a shout out, of course, Irma Ford down there in Kenfield and Tessa and Mrs. Tavernier and Mrs. Tavernier up there in Mont Daniel, all the folks in Benawavin, Tijo Sakafet Gassa, all the folks in Roger, in Yanda, of course, Masak and Mao, special big up to you all there in Campbell. And not forgetting all the good folks in Warner and, Layu Park and St. Joseph, a special big up to you all there. Good evening on the overseas line.
And Mr. Simeon Albert, what a great program indeed tonight. That's him and Babes, the boy.
Yes, good evening to you, Babes.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. God bless.
Man, your last caller, man. Oh, man, I love that lady, man. She was on the money, man. She was on the money.
Yes.
Good topic. Mr. Simeon?
Yes, sir.
No, she talk about chops here when I will share about short pants. I don't know where that short pants, where to get that short pants from. But Mr. Simeon,
yes.
On a serious note, I'm not calling nobody name. But a politician, a parliament, he was detained. I spoke to somebody personally on the phone this morning at the financial center. He was detained, and I have my facts. Right, I have my facts. When people have a facts, he was detained on last Thursday at Kennedy Airport for overstaying 3 days on his visa. And he was a terrorist threat, they said, to Homeland Security. I'm not calling no names.
All right, partner.
No, hear me carefully, one more thing.
I'm listening briefly.
No, hear me carefully. I spoke to a gentleman this morning. I'm not calling his name neither. At the financial center. And I told him he must pass it on. No, I got that source from a cousin of mine at work at the airport security. Now, that person ended up losing their flight on Thursday. Had to fill out papers with Homeland Security because of what happened in Haiti. They thought that person was a terrorist.
I see.
Remember, I said that tonight.
All right.
So all you might say was Bill's making stories. And when the secret come out, all you will say, I was right.
I'll be listening for further on it.
No, that person now took that flight the next day, the Friday, to Dominica. So that person should be quarantined in Dominica right now. You understand me? I have my facts. No, Mr. Albert, no, when I spoke on your program last Saturday, Mr. Christian made a statement there. It's a very wise statement. We have to keep them guys under surveillance. We have to track down all their movements.
Yeah, man.
No, there's a lot of Dominicans living in St. Thomas. They're on the other side. I'm not calling their names neither. I know them very well. I live there for a little while. Them fellas have been coming to Dominica every other month. I know them and planning something for a while now, but I don't call them their names. Believe me. And these fellas, we have to watch them and keep eyes on these fellas. I'm telling all you straight up, Dominican. We have to watch these fellas. Now, that drone that passed over the Prime Minister's house many months ago, let us arrest these fellas, rearrest these fellas, and bring them in CID.
All right, my brother.
Thank
you, man.
Now, one more thing.
Yeah.
No respect to the police of Dominica. I believe in my police force. I stand by them. I know they can defend the Prime Minister of our country. Mr. Albert, no respect, and I love you guys. Good show.
All right, take care, man. Yes, I. All right, the time flies by so quickly there. But yes, just to say on the Choxy matter as I am wrapping up on it there because we got to shift gears a bit into our next subject matter. They want to shout out Mr. Monroe. Good evening to you. My Flossie, good evening to you, Annette Bates, and all the folks who always listen in Bellevue there. Mr. Moise, good evening. And family up there in Bellevue, they always, of course, Matt Dick Ever, Mushe Dick Cochran. Boy, look at him there. Let me say a special big up to this family there in the beautiful community there of Cochran there in the Roseau Valley constituency. Yeah, man, big up to all the folks in the Roseau Valley there. Of course, it's, as I said, the time is moving up. We just want to say on the Choxy matter, but you know, this Choxy thing is a very strange thing. And I listened to Loftus Dura and the orders on it, and some of what Loftus Dura said about this whole thing, because remember we were asking a question about whether they are on Choxy's payroll. That's a question we were asking. And interestingly, Loftus was asked the question by Matt Peltier, and he came out and said, well, obviously he denied that he was being paid anything, and I don't expect anything different from Loftus, and Linton would come and admit that they were getting any money from this man. But I have no doubt that the line of defense and the way that Loftus spoke, and strangely, Loftus came and said that, you know, he's the kind of person who verifies things. When we said that he was holding this, he told Matt he was holding this thing close to his chest, you know, whatever. When Matt asked him his discussion with the people, obviously we played that on our program, and he sought to say that. You know, what he meant was that when the family tells him something, he wants to verify the facts before he can come publicly. So that was the justification he sort of gave for him not having told Matt what exactly was discussed with him. But, you know, this is just hogwash. I mean, Loftus Dura spent some time on the radio while Matt Peltier was out, had people coming and walking into the station talking so much all kind of nonsense and making all foolish allegations about people without he having verified the facts in relation to those things. For Choksi was here for almost 2 months, well, pretty much to 2 months and more. He was being asked a question in relation to his communication with the family, and he was keeping that close to his chest, talking about verifying the facts. For 2 months, Loftus on the radio defending Choksi, talking about Choksi, one fighting for Choksi's right, talking about human rights for Choksi. You mean 2 months after Loftus, you had not verified the facts in relation to Choksi so that you could have spoken to Matt about what exactly you spoke with the family about, and you playing reporter. But I guess he didn't want to tell Matt about that part because he didn't maybe want us to know that he had such close relationship with the family of Choksi, so he sort of wanted to hold that one close to his chest. So he talks about verifying information and like they so do. Q95 and these fellas, there is propaganda. Everything they have put out there over the years is always propaganda. Trying to talk about the police kidnapping people and accusing people. Where's the evidence, Loftus? What have you verified to confirm this foolishness that you all preach on the radio about police kidnapping and all these things and accuse the government of kidnapping and have the leader of the opposition and so on going on? You all have not had presented any evidence. So what have you verified in relation to these allegations for you to come and say, make this kind of foolish statements about your country, Dominica, in defense of a man who is on the run, and then you come and talk about you are not being paid and no one is paying you and so forth, so forth. But, but this is a whole story by itself. But just to say on the Choksi matter that the news item I see that have been put out there by the claims that this man was charged for illegal entry and has since laid had this charge been laid against him, to which he pleaded not guilty. Choksi has been a patient at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital from since May 29, 2029. And as he is bleeding, madam, listen to that carefully, as he is bleeding in the brain, among other medical conditions. Well, Choksi, man, you're good. Yeah, Choksi, good. He bleeding in the brain. And you don't make it in ICU, Choksi? I want to know how comes you bleeding in your brain and you didn't make it in our ICU. Yes, Matter them say our hospital is just a building. It don't have nothing in it. Boy, me say them not easy. Just a building. It don't have nothing in it. Boy, Choksi have all you. Whatever that with that Choksi dollar there, it have all you fellas. It nizo, kali. Bon Dieu tout seul qui sao. Ben nizo, kali. I'm telling you. We'll talk more about that. I'll give you more on it another time. But we got to switch gears. I'm going to go right onto this thing with Nicholas George now and Lennox Linton. Coming right back with you there.
Hey, give him Donald, I wondering who shot. Donald, I wondering who shot who. Give them galang dang dang, galang dang dang. Boy, when you in a game, the rules remain the same. One team to lose, one team to win. If ever you lose, you go home and dress your bruise. Come back again in another game. Hey, O'Donnell, you remind me of he. O'Donnell, swear you both are family. When you storm the capital building, then inside your bunker hiding, it's the same thing.
Uncle would do. Yes, it's the same thing Uncle would do. But as we continue tonight's discussion, we want to spend some time tonight looking at what the leader of the opposition said with regard to the powers of the DPP. We'll also look at what Nicholas George, who was sitting on this program, had to say in regard to the very powers of the DPP. And it is quite fascinating to me when I read, or listen rather, I should say, to how Linton, who wants people to think that he's bright. He wants people to think that he has the ability to lead Dominica. He wants people to think that, he knows law. So, therefore, he can interpret the law even better than the law lords of England because, he went before the Privy Council. He thought he could tell them, may have instead of must have, and that they're not smart enough to know that what he said was must have. Mr. Kieran Peanut Burns, this is must have siphoned money from the citizenship program and not may have. So he tried to see if, he can come there and play tricks on them, but they catch him. Obviously, they catch him. So here Nicholas George now sit down on Q95 on their program talking about the powers of the DPP and what Nicholas George said and what Linton said and how Linton went on to explain the powers of the DPP. My friends, I don't know what you will think of him, but personally, Linton seems to be someone who sees things only one way alone. But I don't know if you understand the law, how the law is written, how he could even be in the Parliament of Dominica to be a person who would present legislation on behalf of the citizens of Dominica. It's just, I can only play what he say and let you listen because sometimes it's hard to explain, what this man is actually and really, really saying. So let's listen to this particular audio that I have queued up for you with regard to something that he said.
And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue. Right.
I want to play that for you again because I want you to understand exactly what he's saying there. So you have to hear it a second time.
And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue. Right.
So he's saying there that there is nothing in the Constitution, in the law, that authorizes the DPP to take over and discontinue, but it only allows the DPP to take over and continue. So the word discontinue, as far as is concerned, does not exist in the law. She can only take over and continue, but she cannot take over and discontinue. Now, that's the argument that he's making in regard to the matter. Now, listen to Nicholas George now.
First, the Director of Public Prosecution has the authority under the Constitution to take the action, the decision that she took, and that cannot be questioned unless it is going before a High Court judge or something like that. She has the authority, she exercised it.
So Nicholas George, obviously, he is a former police officer, and that's why we said this kind of talk that he brought about, this ridiculous thing doesn't make sense. But Nicholas George obviously knows, because as a police officer, he himself would have had matters that went before the DPP and would know about those cases, because these are things that as a police officer he's been engaging in during his tenure in the police force. So he is on the station saying to the novice, the man that think that he's so bright, he playing lawyer in every aspect of everything, and think that he don't have the basic common sense to understand what he's reading. Now I want you to listen to Linton again and listen to Nicholas George, back to back.
And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue. Right.
First, the Director of Public Prosecution has the authority under the Constitution to take the action, the decision that she took, and that cannot be questioned unless it is going before a High Court judge or something like that. She has the authority, she exercised it.
Carte blanche. So Nicholas George saying to him here that the director, the DPP, has that authority and nobody can question it. So if is Nicholas George on the right track, I'll say yes on that one. But listen to this exchange now while Nicholas George actually made that point between himself and Lennox Linton.
Take over and continue.
But that's why he said now I'm C.
No.
Why she didn't act on the C?
So C says to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
Right.
It says here in C, at any point before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it. And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue.
Boy, I don't know if it have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, and O, and you have P, Q. I literally give you Z. I mean, I've never heard anything more foolish than what I just. I want you to listen to that again. I've never. But let me tell you something. You can see why the leadership in UWP is a fool, and he's taking Nicholas George. He's taking all of those other people that following him and turning them into a fool. Although Nicholas George told him that the DPP have the authority, but he said, I want you to listen to it again.
Take over and continue.
But that's why he said now I'm C. Why she didn't act on the C?
So C says to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
No, he said you have to read this and read it well. So, Mr. Linton, read it well for us. We listen in.
It says here in C, at any point...
And Sprags in the background there laughing at him, and well, listen, read it for us.
Before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it. And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue.
I can't help it. Sorry for my laugh. Because I didn't know how to respond to that. I mean, I've never heard more foolishness than that in my whole life. Having to sit down on the radio to hear a man reading the law. He reading what she telling him, The DPP have a right. Not only she have a right to take over, but she can also discontinue. So how is the DPP going to discontinue something that the DPP never take over in the first place? I mean, I want to know if little checking, you reading one side of the law. So I want to, but it just tells you the foolishness and the way these people in the UWP think. That's why they keep seeing things that are not. They think things are missing. They can't show you where it's missing, but Linton say it's missing anyway. And he believe it's missing because it's in his head. And that is just another thing that in the man's head. That has nothing to do with the law. What he's saying there. She can take over, but she can only take over to continue. So what happens when she continues now, Linton? Doesn't there reach a point where when the DPP, he or she, whoever the DPP is, would assess the evidence and that you present and realize that the evidence is insufficient to proceed any further with the matter? What does the law say? She said the DPP can. So how the Constitution? Well, let me tell you something. I don't even know if Senior Counsel can explain that one, but I can't wait for when he come and for him to. Because I've never heard more foolishness. Of course, the people want to hear that again.
Take over and continue.
But that's why I said now I'm C.
No.
Why she didn't act on the C?
So C says to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
Right.
It says here in C, at any point before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it.
I'm telling you, so what did the DPP have to do now? He needed to take over. What did the DPP need to do, Michelle done?
And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue.
Yeah,
it is
that
take
is
over and continue.
But that's why I said now I'm C. No, why she didn't act on the C?
Lord, have mercy on our country. What you have been giving us there in the parliament, it should have been parliament. I mean, if you read it, a basic thing like that, he have the law in front of him, he read it. He said she can take over. Then you have C telling him she can discontinue. So she used the first one to take over. And my brother Clarence is the second one to discontinue, but the boy checking that's not in the Constitution. Hey, Clarence, my good night. Welcome, boy.
Good night, Rosiman. I'm listening to you on my phone while I'm coming in there and I'm laughing, I cannot understand this is what we have as a leader of the opposition in Dominica. I think Tony is listening, he would want to explain, but to me that is beneath Tony to explain that. Any little child can tell you to discontinue something that you did not bring in. You must take it over first to discontinue it. How are you going to discontinue something that you do not have? And Tony can prove me wrong. When the thing was brought before the court by a private person, so the DPP do not have standing before the magistrate in it, because the DPP brought it was a private criminal matter. So for the DPP to go before the court to get standing in the matter, she must take it over and either tell the magistrate, look, I'm taking it over to continue it, or I have taken it over, I have looked at the evidence, there is no evidence, I am discontinuing it. Is that hard to understand?
That seems to
be. It's only an imbecile like Leonard. To be honest, I don't think Tony Astavan should even explain that. That's beneath Tony. If he wants, I'm not talking for him. If he wants, he can explain it. But
I really want to hear what they have to say.
But to me, that is beneath Tony to try and explain something from an imbecile. This is what we have wanting to be the leader of the country. It is simple. The DPP has to take it over to discontinue it. If she doesn't take it over, how she have standing to go before the court and say, look, I am discontinuing something I did not bring. So she has to take it over, make it hers. So it now becomes hers. And then she can either do one of two, continue it, or discontinue it. That is only way she can discontinue it.
but he, you know, I mean, he's such a full Clarence. He reads the thing. He reads these both sections, and he still speaks about the Constitution does not give the DPP. There is nowhere, he said. There is nowhere. I won't play that again because the listeners want to hear it again. I mean, like, let's listen to him. The boy think he's smart. And yeah, you must read. You must what he say? You have to read this. You know, he said you have to read this and read it well, because he believed the Colas, George, and Spraggs. Spraggs tried to tell him, see, but yeah, it's Spraggs. All you know, that's why Joshua couldn't agree, you know. Let's listen there again to him on that one.
Take over and continue.
But that's why he said now I'm C.
No.
Why she didn't act on the C?
So C says, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
Right.
It says here in C, at any point before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it. And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue.
Anyway, my Clarence,
so Simeon, if my son take my car and he's going to Portsmouth, right? And I meet him in Cooley Street. I come in another vehicle, I meet him in Cooley Street. I want to take my car to go back home. How would I take the car? How would I take my car to go back home?
You must take over the car from your son.
I mean, I must take over the car from my son, and I can do two things. Go back to Portsmouth with him, or take the car and drive myself back home. Bring my car back home.
Is it like that?
Is that too hard to understand? Probably Lennox Linton should have had the tutelage of my friend Teacher Wallace. Good night, Teacher Wallace. You must be laughing on your bed.
But Clarence, that takes us further into the mind of the individual that we're dealing with. I mean, when we tell people that this man does not have the capacity within his brain to understand the issues affecting the people and to lead a country, you know, this is part of where you see within him, you know, his inability to, understand things. I mean, it's like the general election. He keep on campaigning on the premise that the election was stolen. He has so far fooled our own people here in Dominica into believing him and into repeating that foolishness. And there are people who meet me occasionally and says to me that you all stole the election. As they've explained to me, how is it possible for 18 seats to have been stolen and absolutely nobody else can see it except that foolish fella who telling them tonight there what he's saying about the DPP. I want to bring in Senior Counsel Anthony Astaphan on the line. I definitely want to get his input into this so-called, I don't know how to refer to Linton right now. As he's just a madman. Seriously.
I say that there can be no...
He's a madman.
You're too fool. You're too fool. Tell them I say that. You're too fool. Rapists, ministers. Tell them I say that.
Warning. Dominica, lock your front door. Mad people out. Yo. Left the land of sun and rainbow. America, them boys go. America flashing the whistle. See them like some Eskimo. I heard Shirley had a box collecting money for Lennox, but the whole arrangement was to send him anger management.
Yo, Cafe Magic Tupatu on the line with me, Senior Counsel Anthony Asafan. Good evening to you, my brother.
Good evening, brother man. What's happening? Clarence.
Good evening, man.
Let me tell you, your interpretation is as accurate as it can be. So I'm not going to waste much time on it except to make this observation. To those of you who went to school with O-level English and A-level and CXC and so on, 72 subsection 1 says to take over and continue any such criminal proceedings that have been instituted or undertaken by any other person or authority, semicolon, and there's a very important word called and, A-N-D, not or, and, right? See, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered, any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. So, Clarence, you're totally correct. Linton obviously doesn't understand what a semicolon and means. It's a continuation of the powers. It's not a disjunctive or. Am I in English class? Or
well, I think you're giving it to him. How we need to understand it.
I mean, this is a man that struggled before the Privy Council to understand the difference between may and must. Understand that, and that's why I keep saying you will never find a donkey in a horse race. All right, and I just leave that there. Linton has zero analytical mental competence. What Linton can do, my friends, is to sit before a computer and copy and paste some nice sounding cliched song bites and read it in the studio by himself or on Facebook. But every single time Linton has been not with a media hall like Matt Peltier or the other one, Dr. Jewel. But when he's with Kamala, when he's with Keisha, when he's with Francine Barron, any other person that challenges the integrity of what he's saying, he goes up. He goes up. Because Linton cannot give a rational, analytical, honest explanation to any issue that he has touched. And he's been given numerous opportunities. Where is the evidence of the rape? In my head, in his head, according to Gildan Richard. When Ellison asked the man, where's the evidence about the 2.1 billion? He said, it's his opinion. Every time Linton is given the opportunity to speak, to explain the allegations he makes, his tongue ties up his tonsils. When the guy from Huffington Post said to him, where is the evidence of the exchange of money? I, an internationally renowned investigator, has not seen any exchange of monies involving the sale of diplomatic or other passports. You know what he said? Thompson Fountain got a tip.
Yeah, tip.
Thompson Fountain, I don't know what tip Thompson Fountain got because in Sudan they seem to like to pick fellas with tips, right?
Yeah.
And then they say, well, what about the African? Oh, he was in London, England, you know, Europe, white people country, United Kingdom. Millions were found in a house in Lagos, Nigeria. And I thought the white man was going to ask Lennox Linton, well, how did it get from Lagos, cash, not money in the bank, cash in the house? How did he get from cash in the house on the internet and into somebody's bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Every time Linton has to explain, he can't. And there are two reasons for it. He's a pathological liar. He manufactures these things to fit his shallow brain. Or he has a comprehension problem. He has an analytical and comprehend. He does not understand what he reads. He cannot analyze it, and his brain just plateaus off at zero level when he has to explain things to the people of the country. And that explains why, my brother, don't take this as a joke, that after his expulsion from the grammar school, Linton, other than one part-time sponsored journalistic course somewhere, Linton never, ever got or sought to get or was encouraged to get any form of academic education since his expulsion from the grammar school. And all he relies on is his silver tongue. Where somebody writes up something for him, he reads it. But don't ever make the mistake to ask him to explain it, because he can't.
More the lang.
What?
No, he's speaking in tongues there.
He speaks in tongues.
Yeah, I mean the language he's speaking there.
Man cannot explain what he says. I did a calculation, 2.1 billion missing. What's your evidence for that? It's my opinion. May have, though, Mr. Linton, you said must have. The leader of the opposition cannot get the difference between must have and may have in front of 5 of the most competent judges in the world.
I know.
And Gilden Richards stands up in the court and says, it's in his brain.
Yes, it is brain.
When he goes and he tells the people, come closer, especially you young girls, come by me. Let me give you a hug. Come. Rapists! The man told us he had ironclad evidence about Kieran Peanut Burns, and the Privy Council and the High Court said never happened.
Yes.
You know? So he's reading this thing live on air, possibly on Facebook.
Yes.
He's speaking in folk tongue. He's being contradicted by his chairman, and he doesn't understand the literal consequence of an and separating 2 subparagraphs. It's not an or, bozo, makes it disjunctive. It's an and. And as Clarence says, even if it was disjunctive, what difference does it make? The power to discontinue, whether you take it over or not, would exist.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Because she said, I mean, let's be real. She says to discontinue at any stage before judgment in any such criminal proceeding instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person. So it means that the TPP can, whether he institutes it or not, he can discontinue it at any time. But the reason why the DPP will take over first, because his powers are conjunctive and not disjunctive. And every single DPP in recent memory that I know has taken over a private criminal complaint, sometimes even a police criminal matter. Take it over first, as the DPP in St. Kitts and Nevis did, and the DPP in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you know why you take it over? You take it over because you've asked for the evidence. The evidence has come. It is pure garbage. Now, that's my language, not the DPP's language.
Right.
So the DPP takes it over to decide what should she do with this. She may decide to continue. She may decide to discontinue. In this case, she decided to discontinue because all the gave her to hold was a sieve full of water. But I want to move on to some other things there fairly quickly.
But I wanted to play something that Nicholas George also said for you. I wanted to play this particular audio and get your reaction to it. Let me play it there and get your reaction to it. Let's listen there briefly to Nicholas George on this particular.
What was distasteful for me is the disrespect that was heaped on the complainant, Mr. Edincourt Senval. He is the complainant. The charge is on his name in the court. And if the Director of Public Prosecution, who has the authority to discontinue, who received the disclosure of the evidence a month ahead of the time that he decided to take over the case and discontinue it, I believe she could have called the complainant and informed him. That didn't happen.
Why do you think that should have happened? I just want to know why that should have happened.
Why? Because what happened, you see, I will tell you what happened. What happened is a letter dated the 5th of July was written to the Chief Magistrate informing the Chief Magistrate that the DPP had taken over the case. That letter was copied to Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan. It was not copied to the complainant. Anthony Astafan is not on the record as an attorney for the defendants. The person on record is Queen's Counsel Andrew Pilgrim of Barbados. On the
are you aware whether or not Pilgrim and Anthony Astafans are working together? Are you aware or not aware?
There are a lot of lawyers working. There are lots of lawyers working. What I am saying to you,
I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, Essie. I heard the reaction. Yes.
You see, that is why Nicholas George is with the United Workers' Party. Because he thrives in the barrel of worms and the lies and the deception that goes on. What he doesn't tell you, all right, is that the reason why the lawyers for Senval were not copied on the letter, because I understood that Mr. Lawrence made inquiries. And he was told, well, when the matter came to the court in the magistrate's court, everybody came there as a friend of the court. Nobody said they represented Senval. Nobody. And a letter was presented to the magistrate's court that suggested that Mr. Justin Simon was willing to take up the retainer of these two gentlemen. He was still, John Baptist fellow was still on it at the time.
Yeah, Mervyn John Baptist.
Right? Nobody has told us since that letter whether Justin Feynman in fact accepted the retainer, or that the magistrate's court was informed, or that the defendant or the DPP was informed by Senval that Justin Simon had in fact been retained to do the matter. But the other point that deceptive, dishonest ex-policeman failed to tell the public is that every letter the DPP sent out, whether to the magistrate, whether to us, to whoever, on the taking over of the case and the discontinuance, was served on Senval. And you want me to tell you why I know it was served on Senval?
Tell us that, Senior Counsel.
All right? Because one day in the group chat that you and I and Clarence are on, Darrell published the letter, one of the letters, or one of the notices. And I immediately asked him, Bossman, where you get that from? And you know what Darrell's response was, and Clarence responded to? It's on Sparks John and the United Workers' Party's Facebook page.
And that was the first time I saw that document. Yes. Yes, and Clarence too. Yes.
Right? So, this dishonest, pathetic human being is not telling the people of the country that Senval was served. And Senval will then take it to whoever he thought was necessary to take it to. And it ended up being Sparks John and the United Workers' Party's website. To this day, I don't know whether Justin Simon had agreed to defend the matter.
Did he ever made any court appearances locally, to your knowledge?
Not as far as I know. In fact, the day, the July the 8th date, right?
Mm-hmm.
St. Val didn't turn up. The magistrate, according to Lennox Lawrence and Andrew Pilgrim, who I know quite well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Said to me that St. Val never turned up. No lawyer for St. Val turned up. No Linton, no lawyer, no Nicholas George, nobody turned up in court that day. The DPP got up and addressed the court. The judge asked Andrew Pilgrim a question, and for the record, I was the chairman of the team. I was the chairman of the board. I was the chairman of the team. Okay? Whether Lennox or Andrew Pilgrim had informed the court or informed the DPP, I do not know. But I think it was public knowledge across the board from Capuchin to Scottshead that I was leading the defense of the defendants in that matter. Right?
That's right.
So let's just deal with that. No. So the suggestion that some injustice was done to a man who was given the document, who is mentally sound, can take it to whoever he wants, and he gave it to who he wanted, Sparks John and the United Workers. I mean,
it's just
mind-boggling just how deceptive and dishonest these fellas are. Linton is pathological, and I am now beginning to understand why Nicholas George didn't get too far in the police station.
The police force. But see, as we speak of Nicholas George, he also made a statement that have been resonating with a number of Dominicans as to how a person who obviously having served as a former police officer in the position, the ranks that he held, and the sort of language that he spoke, because as you noted and many people noted, and also I saw the news on what happened in Haiti. I recently saw a post.
Well, before you get to that, let's leave that for the moment.
Okay.
I want to go back to this contingency.
Okay, yeah, great.
And I've reflected on what's been said about it, right? And I re-looked at the witness statement. Nicholas George gave evidence as a candidate for the United Workers' Party in 2014. Nicholas George does not mention one person in his constituency who went to the concert. Nor does he mention anybody who was at the concert by name and constituency that was treated corruptly and influenced the vote otherwise than he or she would have voted had it not been for Morgan Heritage and the pastor. Not one. You know the other thing that was astonishing, comrade?
Tell us.
Candidates and members of parliament are supposed to have a close connection with their communities, comrade. Do you know not one candidate, including Nicholas George, but let me put it right, no candidate, no member of parliament, with the exception of Nicholas George, gave evidence. No Linton, no Sparks John, no Sam Christian, no, who the other ones? None.
Ronald Charles, all of the guys.
None from the Concerned Citizen Movement, none from the Concerned Lawyers. The only people that I have a record of giving evidence, I think Clarence had mentioned another name, were political hacks, men who wear blue boxers, blue socks, and whatever have you. Dead blue, hardcore activists who froth in the mouth when they hear the name Roosevelt Skerrit, Senior Minister, Astafan, and so on. Right? fellas who go nuts over politics and them losing the election were the only ones who gave evidence. So where were all the candidates? Where were all the elected members? Where was the leadership of the United Workers' Party taking the front? And all of this are matters that would have driven home the message to Mervyn John Baptist, who's not a fool, that these fellas pulling a fast one. And that is probably why none of the lawyers were prepared to go on the record as representing them. You think that could ever happen to a Labour Party person filing a complaint like that? And all of us walk in and say we're friends of the court? And nobody's going on record to defend them?
Yeah, nobody.
And someday that would happen, and Reggie wouldn't give evidence, Blackmore wouldn't give evidence, PM would, well, maybe not, I probably wouldn't ask PM to do that. But Fidel, Mrs. Roberts, Teacher Glow, Shakira, you know, you don't think we would have them involved giving evidence? I mean, nobody. So the person giving evidence for the Labour Party would be who? Simeon, Clarence, Darrell, Donny, my brother Lloyd. That is what we're dealing with, comrade. No names. One person who said she attended the gospel thing, the lady from Marigot, who caused Q95, who this and that and so on.
Yes.
So she just gets vexed and she go home. Nothing about treating, nothing about corruption, nothing about changing her mind to vote, nothing about somebody say to her, woman, boy, look that, I'm not voting for all you again because I'm in the hands of God. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, Simeon.
Yes.
Two last things before you ask me the question.
Go right ahead.
Treating requires the influence of the treating to be operative on election day, so that when you vote, you're voting under the corrupting influence of the treating and not on your own free will. There's no evidence of that. None. Absolutely zero. And the other point that I want to make is that there have been numerous examples of the DPPs exercising that authority. And if it's one thing Nicholas George that said that was honest in his whole time on the radio, is that the DPP had the authority and the jurisdiction to do what he did. And he's in the studio. Was he in the studio with Lennox or did he call him?
They were sitting side by side.
The man contradicted Lennox Linton in the studio to his face.
Yes.
A man who doesn't know the difference between may and must, may have and must have. A man who told the court that he conducted this massive investigation into Kieran Peanut Burns, and the High Court and the Privy Council found that he made no attempt to ascertain the truth, conducted no investigation. A man who makes allegations about sales of passport and says that Thompson found it, you know, sticky fingers, mommy used to call him, man, you know. Got a tip? No, man.
But see, I mean, what also struck me though on that section was that he actually went on to try to explain the law even after telling Nicholas George, well, hold it. And he brought in this whole thing about, you know, we must read it well, and giving them that kind of, you know, lecture there at the same time. But he seems to me at one point got Nicholas George and Sprague's Hector John into agreeing with him. You know, I mean, in pushing and peddling the point that he was pushing. And Linton is using that psychology or that foolish point he was making on the people with a quest to get them to put money into a bank account so that they can appeal this matter, Senior Counsel. I mean, this is how...
I keep telling you that these fellas are a fundraising cartel. And we must never forget that. They will lie, they will distort the law, they will manufacture the facts to give people the impression that they're fighting tooth and nail for quote-unquote democracy and the rule of law. And let me just tell you another point that occurred to me while I was listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
They have this thing about no law, no constitution, this and that and so on. The Prime Minister's use of the phrase no law, no constitution can stop me from being what you call it?
Nominated at the election, yes.
Came from my advice to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had advised the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
I had advised the Prime Minister that there's no law that empowers the what do you call him again? The returning officer.
Returning officer, yes. Mm-hmm.
You can go and register
and nominate.
Portsmouth.
And nominate.
And nominate yourself or get people to nominate you in Kalinago territory. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ho Ping Wing, who has no connection to Dominica, no citizenship, no residence, can get fellows to nominate him. And they can't stop him until after the election. So that's what I told the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the law.
Mm-hmm.
But the United Workers' Party believes that the law and the Constitution does not apply to them. You must never forget when Lennox Linton says that the judge did not give him credit for being the leader of the opposition in her judgment.
Yes, he did say that, yes.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that loud and clear.
So the judge mustn't give him credit based on his evidence. He must give him credit based on who he is. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lennox Linton has developed a theory, right? An extraordinary theory that the law and the Constitution applies only to Roosevelt Skerrit and the Dominica Labour Party and to other citizens, but not to him or the United Workers' Party. And why do I say that, Simeon? 20 election petitions have been thrown out because they have no basis for them at all. It's not the workers' fault. It's the court fault. It's the court fault. The judge, Glasgow, said and gave the most definitive definition of the law in relation to treating. But Mr. Nicholas George doesn't refer to it. He wants to refer to the magistrate to give a determination as to what treating means and means not. And he's ignoring the judgment of Justice Glasgow. Totally ignoring it. So it's not their fault now. Despite having 7 years to bring evidence, the whole of the executive of the United Workers' Party, with the exception of Nicholas George, decide they're not getting in that. 21 candidates of the United Workers' Party, not me. You mean 21 candidates, 3 elected members, including the drunken kung fu master there, Sparks John, couldn't identify one person, not one, who they say was at that concert that was corruptly influenced to vote for Labour, not for them.
Not one.
Simeon, it's important that Dominicans understand what I'm saying. 21 candidates, and the only one who gave evidence was Nicholas George. The others are boom flies of the United Workers' Party, hardcore activists that fly drones over the Prime Minister's house, do nasty videos about the Prime Minister, doctor things to make him look bad. Nobody, no concerned citizen movement that crying all day long about electoral justice, no concerned lawyer, no Monsignor, no Rodney pastor, no rattlesnake Rodney, no Thomas Later, nobody could come and give evidence for them. And they pick up a bunch of political foot soldiers whose head are buried deep in the bowels of the United Workers' Party to come and tell me that is what you've given to the court?
Mm-hmm.
Why did Linton not give evidence? Does Linton have evidence and he held it back? You think so?
I wonder.
Do you think drunk, sober, or rolling in with rum would have evidence and hide it?
Not at all, SC.
You think Danny Luge, big belly, cry baby, suckling pig, Danny Luge, would have had evidence and kept it from the court?
Not at all.
They picked people who depended on handouts from the United Workers' Party to send them into court for the firing squad.
That is the fact.
And I want to keep repeating it over and over. No member of the executive except Nicholas George. Blessings? You send blessings
Blasting.
to give evidence?
Blasting.
No, you should be cross-examining Blessing. That case should have gone forward.
Well, let me tell you something. I made Edison James almost swallow a glass during the Commission of Inquiry. That's when I was still young and inexperienced. I make a man drink 20-something glasses of water, some of which were empty. Right? These fellas should be celebrating that matter didn't go to court. Because we had a lineup of lawyers.
Before the magistrate.
Clarence, we had a lineup of lawyers there for them, right? Andrew Pilgrim, QC, Gilbert Peterson, SC, and Tony Astafan, SC. And them fellas know what I did to Edison James and the other fellas in the Commission of Inquiry 20-something years ago. So you know my cutlass, real sharp now. But I want Clarence and you, when I hang up, to keep asking the question. Where was Pargs to give evidence? Where was Luge? Where was Linton? Where was Edison James? Where was Rattlesnake Rodney? Where was the Monsignors? Where were all these people that have been belly aching and bitching about corruption and this? Where were they to give evidence?
Nowhere to be seen.
They pick up a bunch of moose boys. Loftus Jura didn't give evidence. All the big mouth you have.
He rather died.
Huh?
He rather died.
And you want to tell me that Loftus, Pag, Danny Luge, Afimata didn't give evidence? Sam didn't give evidence? Gabriel Christian didn't give none. The judge from Canada, Irvin Andre, didn't give evidence. Why they didn't come and give evidence? They sent a bunch of boom flies to come and give evidence, comrade. Let us not make the people forget that.
Now, SC, can I just look and bring that into it? I mean, having said all what you said, I mean, this is a matter that they actually brought before the court. As you said, Linton...
7 years ago.
7 years ago, Linton gave absolutely no witness statement. None of the guys who ran for the election, with the exception of Nicholas George, sought to give this piece of evidence that he gave. But looking at what they have actually presented before the court, and seeing that Nicholas George had accepted that the DPP has the authority to do what she did on the basis that obviously they had no evidence, when you hear him make a statement in line of the violence that he spoke about, the violent statement that he made, speaking about the police...
Nicholas George should be... Sorry to cut you off because I don't want to stay much longer.
No problem, I see.
Nicholas George should be ashamed of himself. He should be embarrassed that he's allowed himself to become another sewer rat for the United Workers' Party. And there's no other way to describe it, comrade. No other way to describe it. That these people have become nasty and dirty and vulgar because they spend too much time in the bowels of the United Workers' Party. Let me give you an idea of something before I go, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Clarence mentioned it sometime. Edincourt Senval made his statement, signed his statement on the 4th of June 2015, right? Hold on a second, boss man. Take it easy, man. Take it easy. Nicholas George, 1st June 2021. That is 6 years after the event. Linworth Michelle 3rd June 2021, another clown. Another video of Papi Show and clown. Joanza Stewart, the Boom Boom Flies I call it now, 1st June 2021. All the workers, Boom Boom Flies. All these super gangsters of the United Workers Party, June 2021, they signed this thing, right? Hold on. Bridget Savvy, another blue of boy, Bridget. 1st June 2021. Bridget is my partner. He just tell me some stories some years ago about hacking. But we'll talk about that another time.
Yes, sir.
Duran Fabian Vidal, 3rd June 2021. Mona Charles, the one that went to the pastor, 12th May 2021. Hold on, I get into the end. 10th June 2015, Julius Anthony, blessings. Right? So of the 8 or 9 witnesses, 2 blessings and Senval filed in 2015. And the Boom Boom Flies from workers. And you must call them Boom Boom Flies, eh?
Yeah.
Because they're wrong a lot of cow dung. Or should I put it Linton dung?
Linton dung.
Right? Signing the thing in May and June 2021. How many years after, Clarence is a mathematician, Clarence, how many years after December 2014 is May, June 2021? Not 6 years?
6 years, 7 years and some months.
6-7 years ago. People looking at video. Just imagine they're not in the show, Nobody. One person of the night said they went to the show. Others hear it on TV and on radio.
But Tony, here is the thing. They had to give the evidence on June 8th. And most of them signed their witness statement.
No, they had to disclose it by June 8th.
By June 8th, yeah. They had to disclose their evidence by June 8th. And they signed their witness statement on June 1st, 2021, with one of them signing on 12th May 2021.
And one on the 3rd of June.
And one on it, in June 2021, basically. So what happened when they filed the case? Didn't anybody do any witness statement at the time to file the case?
Well, Senval and Blessings were in 2015. And I suspect, I haven't seen any for D4 and for Mervyn, so I don't know if they gave any. But let me end, Clarence, because I want you, it's time for me to go.
All right.
Clarence, I want you and Simeon to ask callers, do you believe that the other 20 candidates for the United Workers' Party, including the 3 elected members, had evidence over the last 6 years hidden in their back pocket or in their boudoir or in their toilet and kept it away from their lawyers? And if the answer is no, if the 21 candidates, including Nicholas George, had no evidence at all, despite their campaigning, their house to house, their connection with the people on the ground, why is it none of them came and gave evidence of any form of corrupted influence and effect in their respective constituency? Because it never happened. So, as the Prime Minister would say in Parliament, Oti Laja, right? Say for me, where's the evidence in Patois for me?
Oti evidence la.
Oti evidence la. Back pocket la, toilet la, or bedroom la. Wait. Fellas, I gone.
Take a see. Yes, I tell you why. And that's an interesting point you raised there. And I keep raising that point myself. I mean, every time I listen to the leader of the opposition on this whole matter of these stolen elections and so on, I'm like, why isn't the leader of the opposition name appearing on these matters that are before the court? I mean, why is he, staying away but sending other people to fight the battle? And then he tries to take on the battle like it's his own, obviously. It's his own. And that's why Mervyn John Baptist felt, so alone when he realized that, here he was in the court fighting a matter for Linton, which he knew he was fighting it for, but absolutely did not have the support of Linton. We have somebody on the line, the current, so let's take this call. Call on the overseas line there. Good evening to you.
Hey, Simo, good night.
Hey, my brother, good evening to you. What's up, man?
I am good, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. God bless.
My brother Clarence, what's going on?
Good, man. Hey, cool.
All
Cool,
right, my
man.
brother.
It's a little
Good.
tired, but I'm okay.
Okay, good. You sound energized, though. You sound like you're full of energy.
Yeah, when I heard this Linton talking a whole lot of BTs there, man, I just get it's like a nonsense coming from an imbecile. A simple English you can understand, and you want to be prime minister? Give me a break in this country, boy.
You know, right? Tony is right. Linton has a comprehension problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, plus, combined with this, he is dishonest, right? And then, to make matters worse, he believes he's smart,
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who believes they're smart when they actually is not smart is a danger to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in his case, because he finds himself in that position of a party leader, he's dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because unfortunately, there are thousands of people who listen to him,
Yes.
who believe what he says,
Yes.
right? But I cannot, for the life of me, understand how somebody who wants to be a prime minister of our blessed country
Mm-hmm.
can be so shallow, can be so obtuse, can be so dense and ignorant,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That he cannot understand a simple language in the law, right? Because I believe what Linton interprets this continuing a matter is. I think he believes that continuing a matter means a victory for the Workers' Party or for the complainants.
Yeah. Yes. Well.
That's what I think he believes.
Yeah, he believed that the law only authorized the DPP to just take over and continue, and that's just all that is to it, because the DPP have to go to court with the matter has to proceed before the court, and everything have to happen, and there can be nothing else, and that's the impression that he wants to give to his listeners. Yes.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. That's the point I'm trying to make. But how can you be so dense to believe that the law will only authorize the DPP to continue a matter, right? And not able to discontinue it, right? What for example, if the DPP and remember, the DPP can discontinue the matter anytime before a judgment is given, at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be beginning, in the middle, towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So what let's say, for instance, the DPP takes the matter to court. Right? The dates are given for the hearings. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the complainants never show up. For the first hearing, the second hearing, or the third hearing. What is he or she going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Go keep waiting forever?
Mm.
Keep waiting forever until they show up. You know, man. I mean, how can you be so stupid to even say that on the radio?
Mm-hmm.
That the law only allows the DPP to continue a matter, just continue,
Yeah.
and he or she has no power to discontinue it, despite of what may arise during the matter.
According to
there are many.
According to
there are many
Linton,
reasons.
not even the Constitution, giving the DPP the power. Boy, let me tell you something, my friend.
But see, and you know what he does? He reads it.
Yes.
He reads the thing, the law. And then he makes a fool of himself in the end.
Yes.
Right? And here's Postback John. Yeah, he's there cheering Linton on like that guy is just it's pitiful. It's painful to hear this guy speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to see this guy sitting in our parliament, my brother. It is insulting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Truly, it is truly insulting as a Dominican.
Yeah, they try to deceive people, in this country with foolishness.
And to think, Simeon,
mm-hmm.
that these guys are so ignorant, right? That they have been feeding their supporters misinformation all these years, all this time, taking matters to court. And they are raising funds from this. They're making money from this. Right? Nicholas George brings well, here he's one of the complainants. Taking the matter to court. Right? They're raising funds. A lady have to call and ask for where the funds going, right? And he comes back and says that he doesn't understand what treating is. He's waiting for the proceedings to learn what is treating. But you brought it to court.
Yes.
You're accusing somebody of treating, but you say you don't understand what it is. You see, so that is the nonsense that goes on with these people. You know, utter nonsense. Just have a bunch of people following them blindly, right? And they cannot address anything of substance in Dominica. Anything that can help this country and the people go forward. It is stuck in this quicksand of stupidity, right? And Leonard Clinton wants to be a prime minister, my brother.
Yes.
And 16,000 people vote for that man.
Yes.
16,000 people.
I tell
When you hear this, when you hear these things, this guy said, this guy is an obvious imbecile. It is so obvious.
Yes, it is.
Listen to the man speak. It's just a bunch of cliche and you know, take stuff from the internet and try to sound smart. But you can tell anybody who has any sense, listen to Linton speak, you can see that man is not authentic.
Yes.
Nothing authentic.
Nothing
it's all
at all.
cut and paste. You know? And they have people giving money non-stop. Let's give us money. Just turn money over. You know? Wasting time in the courts. And there are so many things in Dominica, right, that these guys can make can contribute towards. There are so many people in Dominica who need help. Their own constituents, children, elderly, sick. Right? They don't spend the time to address needs of people. They spend all the time doing this nonsense that we have to listen to on the radio every day.
Yes.
This kind of nonsense, this kind of display of buffoonery. Come on, man. Dominicans is better than that. We do. And we must demand better than that.
Of course.
You know, we have to get rid of these guys, and I'm not threatening them because they like to take people and twist it and say you threaten them, right? We got to get rid of them politically. Get rid of these guys because they offer nothing tangible or intangible or nothing of good use to the country. All they do is exploit people, use people, lie to people, mislead people, try to destroy the country. That's it. You know, and Dominicans, it's time. I mean, you know, the Workers' Party people need to wake up. I mean, some of them cannot be redeemed.
Yeah.
You know, but some of them they know better. They know better. They are smart people in the Workers' Party, and because they have a little grudge with Skerrit or whoever, they support this nonsense.
Yes.
You know, man.
Yes.
Because they didn't get something, they support this nonsense.
It just tells you, man.
But I mean, yeah, but you cannot continue to embarrass yourself and call yourself a Linton supporter. You know, Linton is a waste of time. It's a waste of time, a waste of breath. You know, I mean, you've been a leader of a party for going on 2 election cycles.
Yes.
Right. Nobody can tell you what Linton has done anything that you can boast of. You know, that you can say, this man helped me get a scholarship, this man helped me build a house. You know, COVID passed, Hurricane Maria passed, Erica passed, people down in the doldrums. They need help. You know, the government can't do everything alone. The government has done excellent.
Yes.
Right? Yes. But you all call yourself leaders. You all call yourself government in waiting.
Yes, you do.
Right? You all want to audition yourselves as this government replacement.
Yes.
Well, show us. Show us. You have the capability. You have what it takes to lead. Right? Every time you raise funds, it's for yourself.
Yes.
For yourself. The people of Marigot, I mean, can anybody call and tell me what Lincoln is doing for Marigot? One of them call the radio and tell us. Prove me wrong. Make me a liar.
Yes. Yes.
You know, Carey says is the person working for Marigot. Right? He's not even the power rep. You know, this man doesn't care about anybody. Nobody. At all. Dominica has suffered so much over the past 5-6 years. So much. The economy has taken so many, you know, uppercuts and body punches. Right? But this government keep working and fighting.
That's right.
Fighting and lifting people. Right? When people lost hope and they had no hope and everybody was wondering what next after Maria. What next? What are we going to do? That's all I heard. What are we going to do? Dominica finish. You know, all the experts in that field say Dominica won't rebound for 20 years. 20 years. That broke my heart, broke my shoulders. Right? And I see miracles happening.
Yes.
Right? Miracles happening. And I mean that genuinely. I see it's like miracles happening. People forget about Maria, you know, my brother.
Yes.
America is still struggling from Katrina. Some people. Just the other day, I just saw it on CNN. People who Katrina affected still cannot get, their home got lost and they still have to live with family and friends.
Yes.
Right? And look how far we've come. Right? And you don't hear the opposition. They were not part of this reconstruction and rebuilding. Right? Instead of trying to come along with the government and help and assist, they were trying to tear the country down. They were trying to block and undermine our aid and our help out from overseas.
Yes.
Right? Trying to make the people suffer more than they were suffering already. You know what I mean? It is obvious. It is so crystal clear, right? That these guys are a complete waste of time, right? And all these guys are doing is exploiting their supporters, fooling their supporters, right? Taking nonsense matters to court. 20 petitions you have lost. 20 from 2009.
Yes.
Right? That just shows that you don't have no case. You never had a case.
Never had a case.
Right? All you try to do, Simeon, is keep these things in the public.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Keep it in the conversation and use it just like Trump is doing. Use it as an excuse to raise money.
They try to keep themselves relevant and try at the end of the day to just take advantage of the people. That's all.
But of course.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. What are you doing? You know, and I really hope, I mean, for their own good, the people who support this Workers' Party and Leonard Clinton, you know, I hope they wake up from their slumber, right? I hope they wake up. I hope they are able to pull that wool over their eyes, right? Because this man is just fooling all you, right? The man doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. He can interpret. He cannot understand a simple paragraph of the Constitution.
Okay, he just cannot.
You know.
Just cannot.
And just thinking he's smart. Thinking he can just use his gift of gab to fool people. Like the man believes he's so smart he can go in the Privy Council in front of the lords and they have a copy of his submission, whatever you call it, reading it.
Yes.
While he's reading it, and they follow him closely, and he tries to pull in he tries to sneak in a may have instead of must have, like they 7 of them sitting and listen to you.
Yes, you know.
Trying to sneak in must have. No, the man you said must have, not may have. It's a big difference. Must have. You know, that's how he thinks he's smart. when he's actually a buffoon. And everybody sees him for who he is.
That's right.
Calling Antigua observer, making a fool of yourself. Claiming the Prime Minister is part of some plot to kidnap somebody. When I ask you, what is the advantage? I don't know. Frankly, I don't know.
He don't know.
He doesn't know.
What's the interest? No, he can't tell you. Oh, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
I mean, come
just
on.
absurd, man.
Absurd, Simeon. Absurd.
Mm-hmm.
It's an understatement, really, but absurd. Anyway, my friends, thank you very much.
Thanks again, man. Thanks.
And have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution here tonight. I want to play this thing from the Privy Council just to give you. Many of you have heard it being mentioned. For some of you may have missed it before. This is when Linton went and represented himself before the Lords of the Privy Council. Let's listen there to what he said there, of course. Let me cue that in there for you. Right. Yes, that's it, yeah. Let's get that there. Let's see if I
The hundreds of thousands of dollars he may well have cashed in from...
May well have.
Huh? What?
May well have.
May well have.
It's must.
Must have. Must have cashed in from Dominican-induced passport money siphoned through international development and management have not been disclosed either. So this is an observation about disclosure.
You know, your lawyer Linton there may have. The judge even laughing. The lawyer even laughing.
Two judges in on him there.
And he even laughing, the boy. He may have. And he was even under the glasses.
Before the Privy, you go before the Privy Council and then you're trying to... Because you think you have the power of gab. You can talk. So you can fool the Privy Council. They pick him up quickly.
They put him, he come back on track.
Must have.
Let's take this call. Overseas like caller, good evening to you. Hey.
Good evening, Simu, and good evening, Clarence. Let me just say good evening to all our people, both at home and abroad. Again, Simu and Clarence, very good program. And I enjoy every bit of it. Senior Counsel Donny and others, I enjoy every bit of it. So then let's give a quick contribution here. Simeon, we have had, Clarence, a lot of opposition. Not a lot, but quite a few opposition from 1978. What I would consider 1978, since we became independent. To now, we had a few opposition. And, you'd have listened to the likes of the Douglases, you would have listened to the likes of Charles, Denny Jr. Charles, you'd have listened to fellas like Charles Maynard and Brian Allen, and you listen to guys both in opposition and in the government benches.
Yes.
And gentlemen, to be straight up with you, Simeon, I have never heard or experienced anything as this, not remotely close. Because what is being explained, what Senior Counsel explained there, and what you and even Karen spoke about, and Donnie alluded to it, I mean, that is so simple. What Leonard Clinton read, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old could interpret that and understand that very, very clearly. You don't have to go to a rocket science school to understand that. And I feel Linton is fighting and making a total fool of himself.
Yes.
The guy is a stone cold idiot. Because you are reading a law, you are reading something, and you're trying to put your interpretation. You are reading it and you're saying what it is not saying or what it should have said while you are reading it.
Yes.
How crazy could it be, Simeon?
Yeah, I tell you. In Linton world, anything is possible.
but Simeon, you don't go on public radio and make yourself a fool on a consistent. Linton make himself a fool on a consistent basis. I mean, Tony spoke about it. Every time you ask this man, you said something. You are saying you're accusing X or Y or Z about something. What evidence you have? It always I don't have, or it's in my head. It's my opinion. And you go on doing the same thing over and over again. You have submitted 20 submissions. 20. I've lost 20 cases. And you're still doing the same thing. It seems to me that you are now becoming, the definition for insanity is doing the same thing you always did and expect a different result. So when are you and your supporters going to see that you are making a fool not only of yourself, you're making a fool of your 16,000 supporters, and sometimes you try to make a fool of the country. Because you go all around the world, you denigrate, you talk about the country, you strip the country of its dignity and its pride, just because you feel you can say a few words. And so most of the time, stupid words. You just like the words have no substance, have no meaning. Now you're attacking the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution. So every time you don't get your way, the agent or the person who seems to be in your way, you attack them. And that's why the Prime Minister become, you're targeted every day because you feel he's in your way. A man that was given 18 seats was given a mandate democratically to run this country. Because the people have put their confidence and their trust, and they know who they have put, we know who we have put in office. And you're upset over that. So you're trying to look for all kind of ways. You're trying to denigrate the court system in this country, and say the court system is biased. It is corrupt because you can't have your way. You denigrate everything in this country. The CBI program, you speak down about it because you can't have your way. You can't be in a position where you're going to be, where you are leading. You cannot be there. So everything and everybody, whether it's senior minister, whether it's senior council, whether it's you, Simeon Clarence, or the Prime Minister, anytime you can't get away and people seem to push back on the utter nonsense that you've been talking for quite a while. You upset and they're not good. They should be eliminated or they should be put aside, or the system, something is not good. The election is not good because you only win 3 seats. 3 seats you should not have won. And not, the election is treated and bribery that was going on, but only in other constituencies except yours. But what is this? What kind of people? What kind of representatives? Because they won. We know Spark Jones won a seat. Danny Luque won, and Blair Clinton won. And our people need to step up to the plate and realize that this guy is up to no good. He loves no one.
Yes.
He has no interest in this country. And we have seen the behavior of Blair Clinton over and over again. Whether it's with his own people, whether it's Tikiri or Mervyn John Baptist or whoever was sick in his house or the child in Mao, he has no love for a soul. He doesn't care. And and people still vote. People still take the time, Simeon, and stand in line and vote for a first-class idiot like this man.
I tell you, bro.
He has passed all the tests where idiotism is concerned. He has passed all the tests where being a fool is concerned. He's on top of the chain, way up.
Yes.
He leads the fray in utter nonsense, in dishonesty and mind-bending tactics. He leads the fray, he leads the road. He is at the leader, at the top.
Yes.
And it's time for us to call him out for what he is, Simeon. It's time for us to call him out for what he is. And that, you have been doing an excellent job. Clarence have been doing an excellent job. And the truth is, any little child they bring on the studio to critic Linton, they don't have to go to high school to learn, because Linton level is way down there. Any little child could critic him and do it very constructively. He has a censored he have a attention span of a fruit fly. He don't remember what he did before and don't repeat it.
What do you have the attention span of a fruit fly?
Of a fruit fly. Forget very quickly, because you cannot tell me you have done that 20 times and you still intend to do it. So that means you don't remember. You don't have any level of recollection. And you go around picking up money from people. The same country that you say that it has no money, the same country you say people are dying and they're hungry and they're broke.
Yes.
You go around and pick up money from these people, Simeon, and tell them that you're collecting the money so you could fight for their rights. What right is Leonard Clinton fighting for people? What right? What are the rights he's fighting for? So you got to stop fool people. You got to stop. You got to stop. Yeah, I'm walking around like he's some cowboy, and once he can't have his way, everything is bad. Everything is no good. The government is no good. Scary this, scary that. Then I see the minister this and that. Nothing constructive. Cannot give a record of nothing you have done. And this is very heart-wrenching. And you know, we speak about it every night, Simeon, whether it's on the hang or on the next level, because we realize that this guy, he's not stopping.
Yeah,
he won't stop.
Yes.
And so we are saying to the people of this country, we can't afford to have this guy not nowhere close to the reins of power.
Yeah.
We have a government, we have a leader, we have a prime minister who understands what the people need, who understand what it is, what growth, economic development, and the ability to lift the livelihood and the lives of people, who understand and sympathize with the plight. And not only does Roosevelt Carey, the prime minister, sympathize, he finds solutions, Simeon.
Yes.
And that is what is important.
That's
because
right.
you could come to me and tell me, I tell them hungry, so, boy, Lloyd, I sympathize with you and you walk out and you leave me alone, But if I tell you I'm hungry tomorrow, I need something, and you sympathize, whether it is for whatever it is, and you can help provide it for me. This is what the ultimate, that's where the ultimate satisfaction comes from.
That's right.
And that is what the Prime Minister, he understands this country. And lo and behold, because he understands it, and he understands people, he understands what it is to embrace and to get close to people and listen to what they have to say and understand across change and solution. That is why he is where he is. And that is why the country of Dominica vote for the Labour Party overwhelmingly, so that he can continue the job that he's doing. My dear friend, in closing, Leonard Clinton and the entire cabal of the UWP, the group, a grouping, and again, as I always said, they follow Lincoln because they can't write higher than him. He doesn't allow nobody to higher than him. This guy has no sense of direction. His moral fortitude has been depleted. He is dishonest. All they care about is trying to spin stories and inject and just bombard the minds of people with these honest utterances and see how they can try to derail not only the court system, not only the government, not only the other aspects of the country, but also the people of this country. And Simeon and Clarence, we cannot allow this. We're going to continue to fight and to push back and to let these guys know that the country is not belonging to a minority or a handful of people. It belongs to all of Dominican, especially the majority of the people that gave the Prime Minister and the Labour Party the mandate to rule this country for another 5 years and for another 5 years, and as long as growth and development is being brought to this country, which the Prime Minister is doing and has been doing for quite a long time. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And I'll be listening to the program.
Thank you,
man.
man.
Safe drive home.
All right. Yeah, thank you there. Yes, indeed. There. It's already 18 minutes after the 10 o'clock. How quickly the time flies there, Clarence, as we continue to hear the discussion. If someone want to hear this audio again, just want to play that again for listeners there. That's Linton's statement there. Yes, let's see if we can get it queued up.
Take over and continue.
But that's why he said now I'm C.
No.
Why she didn't act on the C?
So C says to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
Right.
It says here in C, at any point before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it. And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue.
Yes, but there is a piece of school there. Here, overseas, just on Clarence. Let's take that caller. We have overseas like caller. Are you there?
Yes, brother Simeon, fireman touching base.
Yes, sir, man.
River Nika, good evening to the world, good evening to Simeon and Mr. Clarence.
Yes, sir.
Simeon, let me give you a joke.
Yeah.
I hear girls say that you beat a priest is yours, but someone else that do that.
Yeah, so I beat a priest, but Simeon, I have the strength to raise my hand on priest.
But you tell something, Simeon,
Hey.
two set of people in the world, let me have to respect you. You see, Haitian people,
Yeah.
when time you see you know you're right, you can defend yourself. When time you see you're wrong, leave Haitian people alone. You see, priest,
Yes.
you never, ever, ever raise up another priest. You consider that?
Yeah.
My Lord, right now you do me do something at you. Listen to that. I listen to the program and the same time on Thursday. Now see me hear that. You is a joiner, right? You doing furnitures and whatsoever, right? Now the world boss send two young fellas by you to take a training. You think that they have to show you what you have? You think they have to show you what to do, or you have to show them what to do?
I would have to show them if they come for training.
Thank you very much. I think of it for yourself, a big senior police officer. That not to say he's a recruit, he's a man that resigning, in other words. So that means he overs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Stage. He telling that's why I tell you what a problem is. That's why I work on job. That's why I tell you my prison prison I have a problem. You see my fire get out. I have a bonnie fire. You know something, my Lord. That's why I tell you, Simeon, right? Just so we have a problem in our place. Because why? A senior police officer like there, how long? From what start to up to what time till he resign? He's telling you something, right? You finding that you don't want to listen to what the brother telling you. You have your own way, my brother.
You have his own version.
You have his own version. You know I'm telling you, Simeon. I telling you, my Lord, you have to get it real. That's why I tell them, and they tomate, they désolé, they bitter, and they very, very sour, Simeon. Simeon, them man don't have no love for country. Them man have no love for humanity. Them man disturb. Them man are disturb people, my Lord. I tell you, them man very disturbed by the Rasta. Because you have got them fingers hurt. That's why I tell you again, people like we that concern about our country and love our country no matter what, good time, bad time, right? We concern, we care. And them man just there eating, drinking, whining and dining, shit and sleeping, my Lord. You know what I'm telling you? Them man don't worry, them man don't concern, Because think of it for yourself, think of a big constituency in Marigot, right? Think of it for yourself. How many children or elder people still never come and tell the world boss that person have a kitchen problem or a bathroom problem or you want to go to school, you need a little something. See, man, you never hear that from the brother?
No, I didn't hear that from him at all.
All you hear is disturbance, anything. Chuck, she come, he in front. Chuck, she go in, he service, he suffer not because the money go in. You know what I'm telling you? Look, you have, I tell you, my Lord, I forget to realize you. When you listen to that police officer, really and truly, hear the brother saying, right? I mean, as a police officer, Simeon, I tell you, them police is the security of the state. We have to love and respect them police, no matter what. As I tell you, it's a bad cop and it's a good cop. Many shall be called, first shall be chosen. But
Yes,
watch you.
right.
Once you love your country and you're working for your country, you're working for money. You're working for your country, and once you're working for fiat, my Lord, you must get paid, Simeon. Simeon, go do like ugly.
Yes.
Nothing you doing in life, once you're real and you're true, nothing can affect you, Because when you watch it good, Simeon,
yes.
all them things them I'm putting in the time, even watch it good. You can top up say that. We're going to stone police like rain.
Yes.
Mr. He was in River Nika, he was overseas.
He was right here in the Veronica when he said that.
Fine. And he's a senior police officer that resigned. Think of it for yourself, my Lord.
Yes. He did not denounce that.
You know, thank you very much, my brother. Simeon, anybody in the Labour family has come and tell me, or come and talk about they're going to stone police. I telling you, I burn in fire and them and you're following them. They better know that. Because nobody will bring in fireman, tell fireman to come and stone national security of your place.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? No matter what problem I have with the police, I don't put
Yes.
all police in it because everybody have to do what they have to do. Me and somebody can have a problem. Just like in the Labour family. It have people in my family that do like fireman. I know they don't like me naturally because me myself, I love all of them. And although they hate me, I still love them. But I know for a fact that the Father created us in his own image and likeness. And we're there for a reason and a purpose.
That's
You know?
right. That's right.
Not everybody that have education that wise,
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see you're wise and you're true and you're bright and you're mighty, you have to get closer to the Father. So the Father say, create my own image and his likeness. You want to live in the acts of man.
Right.
So see me, I'm coming out of you. You
Yes.
there, the fireman?
I'm following you, fireman.
So see me, I'm coming out of you. Have to be positive,
True.
But if it's a person that have God in your mouth and the devil in your heart, Simeon, you can never take out nothing good out of you, Simeon. Let's get it real, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You can never get nothing good out of you because why? The God in your mouth and devil in your heart.
Yes.
Best you put the devil in your mouth and put God in your heart. You see what I'm saying?
I'm following you.
So
I'm
that
following
will lead
you.
you to a better direction. Right? You have gangster running in your team. You have a problem. I know running other pastors. Gangster running in your team, right?
Yes.
You have blasting call and say, Viva Labour Party is a good thing Labour Party wins. Next thing blasting say and say, oh, old boss is a criminal. Old boss, I think we have a problem.
Yes.
You know, it's just people that jealous. People, it's people that disturb. But
Yeah.
let's get it real. Them and they disturb.
Yeah, I know.
Simeon, I tell you, them man plan they have, my brother, is when you see that airport bill, like all the talk and do it is when that airport bill, I tell them, we don't go on campaign no right now. When you see that airport bill, I tell you, Simeon, the whole Labour family have to go and pull up somewhere private. Yeah? Watch them big airline from England, France, Germany, them.
Yes.
Come and land in River Nika. So right now, what we are pulling, so we say unstudying kind of fellas have no man. Them man, first of all, as I tell you, if you beat priest, you have a problem. And when you have man that beat priest in parliament, you know parliament has a problem.
Problem.
Big problem, because
Yeah.
well and truly now, first of all, just tell you what a problem in it. That's why I hear sister call and say that, and I so happy, even hear you see, the minister, Mrs. Catherine Daniel, that lady is a lady I know from a very long time because I used to live below her and I used to respect her. She's a very nice person, Mrs. Daniel. Not because she's a politician. Even before she worked, I know her very well. She's a lady I used to reason, I used to talk to fireman. That's why I tell you, see me, if I had to go in job because of she, I would never put myself in job because that lady used to give you good advice, good energy, good motivation. It's all about you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get it real. It's
Right.
all about come and vote and do vote. See, man, let me tell you something. During the election, right, close to election, top up those saying to give all household $25,000.
Yes, he said so.
See, man, that is treating or that is motivation.
It sounds like some kind of bribe to me.
But that is a bright thing, man. So you think I can't bring. So right now, it's too late for me to bring top up to make a case with top up now.
I'm not sure how far you'll reach and why
No, because you never case for me since 2014.
you have to,
And even fellas say that there's
your 6 months maybe expire already.
Huh?
Your 6 months maybe expire. Where you could
expire already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I put a behind my back because we don't give Mr. Stefan too much work to do because Tony already have so much work doing already.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, Tony don't know them and talking Dutch. He's talking French. He's talking Spanish. You making a cat, Simeon.
Yeah.
You know you have a bricks and gas. You giving gas, you giving no bricks. The man saying the lady can continue, but he can't discontinue. But now where we going? But let's get real, man. I mean, but now because as I tell you, Simeon.
Yeah.
When you see you start wrong, you're going to end wrong.
That's right.
And Edison is because of all them things that happen in our place. I tell you, not tell you all, nobody knows.
Well, we
Edison
will leave him outside there, if Edison. That's all our Dominicans to do. Keep Clinton far from the seat of Prime Minister in this country because he says that dangerous man. He's a danger to himself.
Put that brother there. That brother don't have no experience about politics. The brother don't have no. I myself, I know the brother. I tell him he's his friend, but his friend I know him. I never know him same way because I know him very well.
Yes, sir.
So Pop never somebody that interact with. In other words, low class people then because for him you're high class. It's when Edison drop him in the ring, stop him up.
Yes, sir.
Because all about the money.
Yes.
So right now he's playing part. You can used to be saying, oh, I don't know them people and then people call him the panel gets wise. Panel see me right now, they my lord.
Yes, sir.
Any pal rep I have. You see right now, my pal rep is Isaac Joseph.
Yes,
although
sir.
actually I don't know what pal rep, I don't know nothing personally. Any pal rep I have and to form a relationship with my pal rep, you know. I don't voting for voting sick, you know, my dog.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You know what I'm telling you?
Respect.
And to form a relationship with my pal rep. Because
Yes, sir.
if that's something to do and he cannot see, I think we're going to say, my boss man, look, we have something to link up. Boss man, we have an elderly leader.
Yes, sir.
We have
Yeah,
to
man.
have enough labor family. That's
Yeah,
one
man.
way or the other.
Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
my lord. Any other too much of the time because I know
Yeah.
somebody have to call. World boss, good evening to you.
Yeah, man.
My original lawyer, Mr. Moses, I hope you up and running.
Yeah, man.
Big brother, what? And your sister Stephanie Cole and Bibbs. And your boy, me tell a joke if I run, boy.
Great.
Bibbs like a fellow come America, and if I'm taking all Bibbs jobs, right now Bibbs stumbling. Up and running, senior and fireman running, bless up.
Yes, I did get a fireman. Hey, let me take this ad there, boy.
Petro Caribe. Tank installation is part of our mission. Excellent client support is what we got. Contribution to development of Dominica. Supply of LPG at an affordable rate. Let's go. Petro Caribe straight. No time to waste. So come on everyone with me to Petro Caribe. 250 gallon propane tank. 420 pound propane tank. 100 pound LPG cylinder. Petro Caribe. 20 pound fiberglass cylinder. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe. Petro Caribe.
And continue.
But that's why he said now I'm C.
No,
C,
no.
why she didn't act on the C?
So C says, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now you have to read this and read it well.
Right.
It says here in C, at any point before judgment is delivered, the DPP can discontinue any criminal proceeding that the DPP himself or herself has instituted or undertaken. Or the DPP can also, at any stage before judgment, discontinue any criminal proceeding that is instituted or undertaken by any other person apart from the DPP. So the DPP did not need to take over the criminal prosecution to discontinue it. And in fact, there is no provision in the Constitution talking about take over and discontinue. It is only take over and continue.
You're too full.
Tell them I say that.
You're too full.
Ministers. Tell them I say that.
Warning. Warning. Dominica, lock your front door. Mad people out. Yo. Left the land of sun and rainbow. America, them boys go. America blasting you is see them like some Eskimo.
Yes. Mad people outside there, Clarence, man.
Because each time I ring you, how can you discontinue something you did not bring?
But Clarence,
without taking it over first, and then to discontinue it, it wasn't your case in the first instance. So the first instance, you have to make it your case by taking it over to discontinue it. But what an imbecile! But
I want us to look at the mind bending,
the
bending aspect of this discussion.
And there are 3 other guys in the studio with him and cannot tell him, Lennox Clinton, look,
You're
what
wrong.
you are saying is wrong.
But they gave him a correction, you know.
The DPP did not first bring the case. The case was brought by a private person. The DPP can't just wake up and tell the magistrate, I am discontinuing that case. You have to first tell the magistrate because you have to get standing before the magistrate and say, look, I am taking over the case because I have the authority to take over the case. Mm-hmm. When I take over the case, I can do 2 things with it. Mm-hmm. I can continue it, so I remove the private complainant as the prosecutor. I will prosecute.
Yes.
I can continue it, or I can immediately discontinue it, or continue with it, and halfway through the case, I discontinue it if I find I'm not going anywhere with the case.
And that's the DPP that have them option.
DPP that have the authority to do it. But to discontinue the case, the DPP must first take over the case.
And that's what Linton failing to understand.
And that is Linton, a simple matter like this. I think he should have gone to Teacher Wally School.
Let's take a call there, Clarence. On the local line, overseas line, they call. Good evening to you. All my telephone lines are going up to you. Good evening.
Good evening. First time I get in yours. Good evening. Listen to me. I didn't listen to that conversation.
Yeah, can you speak up a little bit because you come in around a little low? Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, me and you better, yes.
Right. I am listening to you all, and I'm saying, but wait a minute. That was broadcast on Q95. So you mean all the educated people that are listening to Q95, they are not hearing the nonsense that Lennox Linton was speaking when he was trying to explain the law? And you have these educated people following Lennox Linton? I cannot believe that. I just cannot believe that. Lawyers, doctors, all the educated people listening to that program, any infant can understand. And he read it how many times? Any infant can understand it. And then they listen to that and still following Lennox, and not one of them calling him to tell him, no, you have it wrong. This is the correct thing. Bye-bye. Good night.
Yes, I. Thank you for your contribution there. Look, as a guy, all the telephone line going. Let's just give the listeners a few chances there. Local line caller, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes, ma'am, good evening.
How is your family?
Doing good, thank you, mommy. Doing good.
Good evening to Mr. Christian.
Good evening.
I heard you said you're tired.
Yes, he had a long day today like me.
Yeah, I heard him when you said that. I say, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Anyway, when you're going down, make sure you drive safe and don't sleep on the way, okay?
That's right.
Yeah, Mr. Christian?
Yes, I heard you.
Okay, God bless you and keep on working for the government and for the country. And my son, I claim that precious blood of Christ upon the crown of your head and the sole of your feet to continue to work in the vineyard of the Lord and to work for our country and the Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Continue that journey you're on. Yeah, Mr. Simeon?
Yes, ma'am, indeed.
You have a good name, I always tell you, Simeon in the Bible.
Yes.
To present Christ before the altar to God.
Yeah, man.
And you said the heart of Mary would be pierced.
Yes.
Because you know what you go through with her son while on earth. So you have a good name.
Indeed.
So try to be as Mr. Simeon in the scriptures, okay?
Indeed, ma'am.
So I say good evening to my Dr. Honorable Prime Minister Rufus Skerrit. May God continue to bless, guide, protect, and direct you, your wife, your children, your family, your in-laws, and all the ministers and senators of the government. Be not afraid of the terrors by night, nor the arrows that flies by day. Keep on holding on to the unchanging hands of Jesus of Nazareth, who gave his life for everyone on this earth. And claim that precious blood of Christ upon you and your family. And I cover you with that blood of Christ Jesus, as I cover in myself, my children, grand, great-grand, all my family, and my country. Because that blood was not shed in vain. It shed to give us newness of life. So continue to claim it, my son. And Christ will walk with you through the darkest night and the brightest day. Have no fear. God bless you. Simi, I know it's getting late already.
Yes, ma'am.
When I listen to the novice, and I do not want people to call blessing. He's no blessing. Blessings come from God Almighty. And the faithful one who is calling on him and praying for the people and asking him to bless the people and to bless the country, to bless the Prime Minister. We don't want people to be calling the Prime Minister criminal and all kind of stuff, and when he finished to call him blessing, he's not blessing, he's blasting.
That's right.
That is his name. He's blasting, he's not blessing. So I hate to hear that name calling him blessing. This one is a wicked and an evil man. So don't accept blessing, because he's no blessing, he's blessing no one.
He's blasted.
Blasting.
Yes, I.
Okay?
Yes, mommy.
So the word that I do not know since when Lennox, the novice, work in progress, the spontaneous liar, the old fool, as God pardon, but the Bible talk about them, they are fools.
He called himself them names there, mommy. He said he was a work in progress.
Yes,
he said at one time he was a novice. And he also said he also said that he was a, yes, he said all the words.
Yeah, he said all of that. I heard him.
Like that.
That
Right.
is why I continue calling him that. Even on his program, I call him once.
Yes.
While he was on his program with Matt.
Spontaneous
And
liar.
I said, can I call you novice? He said yes. When I finished talk, blasting call and saying, you don't find mommy taking you for a coffee shop full, you shouldn't answer mommy. Right? That is the time I called on their program and I was giving him some pressure.
Yes.
So I do not know since when Linton becomes so professional that he even a lawyer and a judge at the same time.
Yeah, all of them, magistrate, lawyer,
You know,
judge.
He can say with his, you see, these fellows are just Satan cult. They are in that cult and they are Satan bride. They are demonic people hungry for power. You see, when Judas betrayed Christ, when he filled the money they gave him, because Lennox is only about money now, billions he wants, and he will do anything in Choxy for him to get the money. When Satan go and betray Christ, they give him the bag of money, 30 pieces of silver. When he go and see what they was doing the Savior, he go back and say, I betrayed the innocent blood. And he sent the money back inside for them. They took the money and buy a field of blood. And the devil that was at the back of him, Judas, the devil behind him, how many little devils behind him, you know, he had no choice to go and hang himself. Nobody touched him. He take his own hand and hang himself because of greed, envy, and jealousy. And this is what happened to Lennox. I don't say he must go and hang himself, but the pit he digging for the prime minister, he have to go down in it. He and all the others with him.
Al Jazeera catch him in the pit already, mommy.
That is why I'm telling you, I always say that.
Al Jazeera catch him in the pit.
I always say that. And he go right down into that pit. He and his other Ku Klux Klan, David wanted 40,000, Seraphim wanted 50,000. He signed the treaty. He said he never know the man, you know, in Algeria, but he signed when he had millions. So I want to know when the man brought the briefcase in Dominica and landed in front of his door. I have it up to now on my tablet. Put the briefcase in front of his door. The man never turned for anybody to see his face. He walk away. So I'll give, what is them? Toxics? Toxics, come and look for the briefcase.
What name?
Toxics, or what is Toxics or 66? What is his name there? They pay him for 10,000, but I hope he paid the hospital fee. And he paid for coming in our country legally. I hope they make him pay a sum of money for that.
You want him to pay?
Because that money is struggling, that money is circling somewhere. That is why he came down. He came down for his money. Because, you know, they quit the passport and they pay back. So all of that money, people and them out there, you know, you see what happening all over the world today? Money. And he want million, he want trillion. He said he will give us $25,000 every household, you know. He do not know where you are getting it, but he promised us. And up to now, we cannot get the 25,000.
You waiting for it still?
So but I still waiting. But what is a heavy load because look the whole Choxy. So where is that bulk of trillion coming from now? This man want to tell the judge what to do at the court. You know when you have a brother, see me, if your brother, you come and meet your brother fighting or somebody fighting with your brother. At the time you come there, you have no time to ask questions, you know, you just have to start fighting too, you know.
Yes, I.
And when the fighting over, if it's police that come or whoever come and separate, then you will ask what was wrong, what is the problem you had. why you end up in that fight.
Yes, I.
That is what Linton mean, you know. The novice. When he talk about the judge, that say, the word you mentioned there when you play the script.
That's the DPP, ma'am, he was referring to.
The DPP.
Yes.
I call them judge DPP.
Yes, the DPP.
So what he said to the DPP is
Director
a
of
woman,
Public
right?
Prosecution. Yes, ma'am.
It's a woman.
Yes,
what
a
he
woman.
said to her, as though he above her, so instead of she had to say what she had to say, is just let it go and then come back again. This man, Lennox, that playing lawyer, judge, magistrate, even in England he go playing judge. And want to believe he have so much education. But this man is just an idiot. This man is just a real idiot. He called himself an idiot and he's a real idiot. He's a fool.
Yes,
he have a lot of words, yes. He have a lot of speech. But it means nothing.
It's like an empty barrel.
It's just like empty barrel rolling all over the place and make noise.
He's just making noise, but he has nothing in him.
Nothing.
Yes.
Only words, lip service, and nothing behind it. He just like Rodney, the long rod.
Hey.
Those fellas, now you have Nicholas. Nicholas talking a bunch of nonsense. I heard a guy when they had that problem in Wesley. He have a red bumper, and he was fighting and blocking the road to get work. And I heard the man said, no police can come and touch him. He's fighting for his right.
Yes.
But if they think they have guns, they have more guns than the police. You didn't hear him?
I heard them speak
You
those
heard him when
language.
he said that?
I heard them speak those language, ma'am, yes.
Until I came back on the radio and I said the police supposed to go and search that man.
Yes.
Search his place. He said he have big farm, he have this and that. So go into his farm, go into his house, go into his lobby, wherever,
Yes,
in his
ma'am.
vehicle,
Yes.
and search it
Yes.
to see if he have license for the guns. That is more than the police.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Now you hear Nicholas talking a bunch of crap as though he was a police.
Well, he was
Now
a
he
police
is on
officer.
pension.
But the level of violence that he seemed to be one to contemplating,
Yes, he did already.
he should know better
Now
than
he's
that.
coming back with those kind of things. Right now it's the devil that possessed him and hunting him, you know.
Yes.
For all what he did. I used to go and pray with him here at his home, with his wife. When he was in trouble. Remember that they make me talk, you know.
You don't need to go down that road there, mommy. We'll
No,
deal with
I'm
him
not
when
going down that road.
when
But I'm saying,
when the election
he
comes.
have a lot of malediction, demon possessed,
Yes.
and he need to go and repent
I think that's a good one for him.
because he want to create violence in the country, and he was a police.
He need to repent.
He called in on Carbon, the chief of police.
Yeah,
Not
he need-
Carbon on.
The acting police. But we have to go just now. We have to take a couple more
I
calls.
know you have to go always on the run. When you see I come
So
in,
you,
always have to
mommy, you
run.
get your 10 minutes already there.
But some of them take 20, half, 3/4 of an hour.
You give the prayer for 5, and I give you another 5 for you to reveal. Yes, ma'am.
I don't think I got with you. I don't want to
You
fight
know,
with
we
you.
can't
I
get
don't think I
vexed.
got with you again because I love the name Simeon.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm saying to that man,
Yes.
that ex-police,
Yes.
behave himself
That's a good one.
and stop creating violence and anarchy in the place.
Well said.
I know he was a police.
Yes.
He was a senior police.
Yes.
And he know where the guns are.
Yes.
So if he feel he want to get his policemen
Yes.
in the force to create anarchy in the place, he better believe it, because the same prayer I used to go and pray for him to get him free is the same prayer I pray to defeat him. He better behave himself in that country.
Yes, I.
Anyway, have a blessed night.
You too, ma'am.
And drive safely.
Will do.
God bless you all.
Bless you too. Yes, I.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Hey, ma'am, you give him the prayer. Yes, I, Clarence.
Now, Simeon,
Uh-huh.
what I have to say is this, right? I'm on the same topic.
Yes, Clarence.
Yesterday, I happened to have been listening to the commentary talk of Randy Rodney. And he launched a subtle attack on the DPP. Right? Basically, trying to imply that the DPP was paid or whatever it is, or got appointed, because you were saying that for the work for taking over and discontinuing the case. And he's the same line that Nicholas George took about justice, saying that the people will take justice. And I'm saying, in my view, the persons who had injustice done against them were the 15 candidates who were taken to court for treating.
That's right.
With no evidence.
That's right.
For 7 years, they waited for their case to be called. And it only took in June 2021, in June 2021, just before they were supposed to disclose.
Yes.
That is when they provided and signed witness statement to get witnesses. So when Mervyn had the interview with Loftus on the other radio station, and he said they were not ready.
Yes.
He was right.
Yes.
Because they had absolutely no witness statement, nobody coming forward to say they were treated. So you had people like Blessings.
No, not Blessings, Terrence. Blastings.
Well, Blasting, or how you want to call him.
Blasting.
But
right.
Tyrone Anthony.
You can
from
call him that too.
St. Joseph. Blessings.
Blasted.
Blastings.
Right. Blasted.
Jawanza Stewart. Linworth Michel. Bona Charles. And this guy from Biosh. Former police officer. Working in Bermuda. Former police officer working in Bermuda. All these guys were hastily put together to come and lie before the magistrate, saying that they were treated, having Nicholas George a candidate, implying that he did not vote for himself. He was so convinced by the Donnie McLaughlin, the gospel music by Donnie McLaughlin, that he switched allegiance to UWP almost immediately, and then he voted for the Dominican Labour Party. This is the lies. And somehow I feel that the case should have gone forward, to allow those guys perjure themselves before the magistrate and have them charged right there and then. Because I know Tony Astafan has the ability to do it. If Tony Astafan could make Edison James, a former prime minister, drink 122 glasses of water, half of which was empty,
what did you do?
And feeling hot, sweating in a cold air-conditioned place, is not Blessing or those fellas. He would make and perjure themselves before the court. I mean, this is nonsense.
They do.
And why bring this up? Why go and taking people for treating when you yourself, it is you were the one who started it, UWP were the one who first brought in foreign artists into Dominica. Richie Spice in the Kalinago territory. And Eterna in St. Joseph. And you mean Randy Rodney as their pastor, their spiritual advisor, whatever he is, cannot tell those guys, hey guys, this is immoral. You have done it already. You should not go ahead and take somebody to court. The same thing they did with the citizenship case. Ron Green never had a Dominican passport. But you taking somebody else to court for having the passport the same way, in the same manner you get your passport as a child.
Well, the only thing
but
I said...
This thing must stop, Simeon.
And the one thing I said, as you mentioned, Ron Green, was that he actually allowed Lennox Linton to lead him into a direction where, at the end of the day, the person who came out of that having suffered, really, Ron Green. Because Ron Green had to revoke his U.S. citizenship, which we really never had an issue with. Nobody in the Labour Party ever took issue with Ron Green over the fact that he had his dual citizenship and that he was representing the UWP as a minister in the cabinet. Nobody in the Labour Party never took that up as an issue. But when you have the novice and the spontaneous liar who obviously has some axe to grind and believe that until he can grind them axe there, he ain't gonna stop, telling lies or trying to deceive people. Because what he was doing there in reading the legislation and not really listening to even what his colleagues was telling him is an act of deceiving, which is something that Lennox Clinton have been practicing on Dominicans for a long time, trying to deceive them every time into believing and following him into the things that he's saying so that he can deceive them for him to collect their money, so that he can deceive them with the hope that they will turn against the Labour Party. Only to find, he always getting caught in all of those things that he have so far presented as the one who really, is at fault. And right now, what we played tonight was just another example of someone who no doubt,
And it is the same thing, Simeon, with the $1.2 billion, and now he bring it up to
3 point something,
or whatever the billion it is, by just taking figures, knowing and not knowing. You cannot take naturalization certificate because naturalization certificates would include children.
Clarence, Mr. don't care about that.
He don't care about that.
What Mr. care about is deceiving people.
All he wants to do is to deceive people, and he has a set of people who follow him, who believes everything he say.
Let's take a call there. Good evening. Before we leave there, good evening. A call on the local line.
Simeon, partner, how you doing? Clarence, what's up?
Hey, I'm good. Good, thanks, man.
When you listen to this fellas, man, we have to make a joke out of that, but there's a serious side to that, Linton comes in the studio. He can't read the law properly. He have no legal training. He's still not able to read properly. And right away, he think he have grounds for appeal. Usually, partner, if the decision comes out on a matter, you take it to your lawyer and let your lawyer go through the law and advise you on which basis you have a case for appeal or grounds for appeal. But he comes in the studio, read it his own way, didn't understand it, and he's the lawyer there one time, and he have grounds for appeal. And he pulling out the biggest con job his supporters have ever known, where he repeatedly looks for excuses to ask for money. If his supporters by now don't realize that is the biggest con job that they're falling for, they will never see again.
Yeah, we'll see like.
And then I'm supported by a man who say that he went in the polling station, he went in the polling booth, saw his name on a ballot paper, but voted against himself. And then he blamed his spirit for that. The only way you can go in a polling booth and see your name on a ballot paper and vote against yourself, you have to be retarded. And I'm not talking about people who are mentally challenged. I have nothing but the greatest respect for those persons.
Indeed.
But those fellas are different type of mental challenge, man. They totally retarded. So the serious side to that is those guys. We are probably expecting too much of those fellas. All right.
Well, it's not that we're expecting too much from them, but it's just that when you have people serving in the parliament of the country, when you have people who are presenting themselves in to take over the leadership of this country, you expect some level of honesty, one, to come out from the things that they will say, and two, that they will, when speaking, because that's one of the problem we have had with electoral reform, is that you have Linton who on one point will accept that the legislation is good in its current form to be presented to the parliament, and then they go on their radio on their program and they ask people to, commit acts of violence to prevent this bill from going before the parliament by using any means necessary. You know, when you use those kind of language, obviously they drive people into a mood where that's one of the reasons why they found bags of stones outside of the parliament, and people were behaving in a very disrespectful manner to the security officers at the time who were securing the parliament. So they mislead their people, and they do these things with the intention of getting into office. These are very dangerous people. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to think of the fact that having these guys at the helm of running the affairs of this country, the citizens of the country are the ones who are going to feel the blows of it, you know. I mean, they may well come out all right because Linton will get in there and within 28 days, he might sign about 20 diplomatic passports and collect how much $400,000 like how O.J. Serafin and David Bruni was telling us they would be doing. But that would be Linton collecting that, but the citizens of the country would be suffering because the man does not have the capacity to handle and deal with issues, even to read and comprehend what he himself is trying to convince his colleagues, and they are following him, my friend. He's a danger to himself and likewise to the citizens of the country. And that's why we have to keep people abreast on the fact that they should never make a mistake and cast a vote for someone like that. But go ahead, yes.
But yeah, Stephen, well, that's a valid point. They do not have the mental capacity. The mental capacity, yeah. So as I'm saying, guys, just like they're retarded. If a guy who is, and I say no disrespect to mentally challenged,
yes, you did say that.
Different class.
Yes, you did say that.
If a retarded guy comes to your workshop and asks you for a job, you're not gonna put you have some serious equipment at your place, all right? Or if a client gives you a job to do and he wants a job to certain specification, you expect a certain quality, a certain standard, you cannot put that in the hand of a guy that you should realize has serious mental challenges. Right? It don't make sense. So, yeah, I think that, I mean, based on this guy's behavior, obviously they got some serious mental issues. So that is why, like you have rightly said, we expected too much. To the reign of the country, the governance of the country. That is too much for those guys to handle. They are not capable of handling that.
No,
right?
that's all.
That is way above their mental capacity, and that is why we, like you have rightly said, must keep those guys out far from that, because the day those guys take the reins of power, we no feed back.
I tell you, brother. I tell you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, my brother. They're just a danger to themselves, and I think the country would pay for that afterwards. Just imagine we have a man like that representing us, and embarrassing the whole country. I mean, and doesn't take time to learn, according to Dr. Denzel Douglas, but to rather, try to speak and lead in a direction that is so destructive. Currently, 11 o'clock, we had a long day.
Final
yes, please.
Talk tonight, Simeon. My final point I want to make tonight. I cannot understand for the like of me why Nicholas George has not been arrested and put before interrogation, because Nicholas George was a former police officer. He was the one responsible for security operations. So he is fully aware, and he would have been under oath of secrecy.
He knows the armory.
So he knows the armory.
He knows what the fire
He knows what the police have inside the armory. He knows. Yeah, he knows everything the police has. And he would be under oath of secrecy. So he cannot disclose what the police has. While he was for police, or even up till death, he cannot disclose anything, the state security. And to be on radio telling the population or telling the chief of police he doesn't have sufficient to keep a people down, that is virtually disclosing what you know. Because it is not, it is not you, Simeon, saying this. It is not you. And this is why I find this guy should have been arrested and put under serious interrogation. to tell the police what he means by this. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well, you made a point the last time. I mean, you know, when they make these dangerous statements, you know, there should be some form of surveillance that is put on them because, you see, Clarence, certain things resonate. And sometimes when people take leadership position in the country, no matter whether opposition or in government or whichever side, there must be some level of responsibility, serious responsibility that must be on them when making statements that can incite people into violence and or cause people to sometimes take the law into their hands and do foolish things. And for example, you know, I saw a post where somebody on social media, without putting a face behind it, you know, using what happened in Haiti and posting a picture of our Prime Minister and his children, and saying that, you know, that the Haitian president was lucky that his siblings were not, but, you know, the children were not. And to bring that sort of a sentiment out there, that all of this, you know, came out as a result of the sort of statements that were being made
by
Nicholas George. It is the same thing I said about Lennox Linton, saying to people that they should come out and block the Douglas Charles Airport to prevent our citizens from coming in. You know, and you had Loftus Dura saying that they would block all ports of entry. And then suddenly you have fire on, you know, fire is burning in the mountains of Douglas Charles, where the navigation equipment for the airplanes to land were being destroyed, over $2 million in damage. And Linton does not take responsibility for that because he claims that it is labor right to go there and do that because they want to make it. I mean, no labor right in their senses will ever do something like that. But we have seen a pattern between the opposition where they feel like as if in the eve of the last election, we saw how they were burning and trying to burn down the country and to prevent people from going to get nominated or to prevent people from going about to do their normal business or trying to light fire outside of the Douglas Charles runway to prevent airplanes from having a clear vision of landing, throwing oil onto the Kenfield Airport runway, you know, tires, pile of tires, dump a load of tires are hidden in the bushes there in Kenfield because they intended on taking all of these tires and to burn. So these guys like Nicholas George, Linton and others within their political organization who believe that they should, you know, on just simply saying lies to their supporters that they one day will do something. And then the strange thing about it is that, like Clinton have them burning down Roseau back in February 17th, and he's there shooting this burning down of the city, destruction of the city. He leaves his house in his short pants and he's there with them and he's saying, well, you know, as far as he's concerned, this will continue until Mr. Skerrit demits office. But when they pick him up and arrest him and charge him for inciting these people into violence, he claimed that, you know, these were not his people. They like as if he never said anything that would have dragged him. So these sort of guys, as you said, I mean, at some given point in time, you know, they need to be watched closely because you can't take nothing for granted those days. I mean, you never know who is cooking up what, where they're cooking it up, and when they may try their foolishness. So at the end of the day, the police must watch these people who incite people who use certain language that may cause people to want to do things and be driven into a particular direction. And that's why leadership is a very important thing. It has to be taken as a very serious thing, and we cannot just have people like that, you know, without properly analyzing them or even critiquing them when they make these sort of outlandish statements that can cause, sometimes maybe they even lead to the loss of the life of someone. And we saw that many people got injured back in February 2017, there were guys who suffered serious cuts by breaking glass windows and doing things simply because there was an opposition leader who would not end his meeting when it should be ended, and went on to tell the people that they had more authority than even the police itself, who was responsible for making sure they are the guardians of making sure the peace are held in the country. So, Clarence, what we're dealing with there is a political organization who will use any means necessary, and they use this language, any means necessary, to bend the people's mind and to drive the people's mind into accepting what they are saying and to go out there and profess it as if it is true, whereas it is totally misleading. They are lies, they are propaganda, and that's what it is. So at the end of the day, Linton never accepts that he's wrong, and that is where a man have a first problem, is when you cannot accept that you have lost the fight, you were wrong in something that you said, and then you want to blame everybody else for what you may have done wrong. You'll always go wrong. And that's one of the reasons why Linton can never get anything right, because one, he will not even listen to his colleagues when they are bringing to his attention something that he may have been missing because he believes that he's right. And so this man, toujours right. The only time he accepted he was caught is when the Al Jazeera thing catch him, and he said, well, he's human, and anybody, people shouldn't expect that he would make mistake. He's human. Oh, really? And then he give his so-called crocodile crying apology that he mamute, in our usual word, stammer on. And that's the only time. And then the second time was when Sam Raphael jammed the thing on them for trying to burn down and destroy Dominica. He finally told Sam Raphael he got a body blow. But soon after he told Sam Raphael that, he turned back around and asked Sam Raphael for evidence and not the talk. But every day they give the talk and they give no evidence, Clarence. And that's where we are with these guys. Clarence, we have to go.
Oh, no, I'm saying good night. I mean, I have to run. So good night, good program. Good night to the listeners.
Thank you again, my brother.
And we meet again probably on Saturday.
On Saturday, God's Power Life Cards. So we're back here where we'll be again looking at the issues of the week. And here on the next level, as you know, we deal with the political issues, the hardcore political issues, ladies and gentlemen. These are things that we deal with, things here that our Prime Minister will not talk about, or ministers of government will not talk about. But we deal with this because these hardcore political issues are things that we get up every day, we have to deal with. Our citizens have to be hearing the other side of the discussion and to be enlightened as to the facts in relation to our country, Dominica. We will certainly be always there if God spare our life to do so. Again, I want to thank all the folks who called in tonight, Senior Council Anthony Astafan, for your contribution here, and to all of the other many callers who called in, and to those who you don't always call but you listen. I want to thank you for continuing to listen to this program. I want to say good night to Mr. Clancy Winston up there in Kenfield and the Williams family, always listening. And Mr. Clancy, I promised to call you, and I haven't done that yet, but I need to do that. And to all of the folks who, always listen on the Kyrie FM Facebook page. I want to thank you all for your continued listenership and your comments and debate as we continue, because we know the opposition side is also looking at this program and also learning from the discussion. And that's why one guy said to me, when he listened to the opposition program and he heard them, he sometimes say, well, they have the Labour Party. And then when he comes and he listens to the next level, he realizes these guys he's supporting have absolutely nothing at all. And by the grace of God, let's continue to pray for our political leader and pray for all of our ministers of government, the cabinet and senators, and every person who continue on the front line to protect this land from COVID-19. Let's continue to keep the prayers going, people. Ask God to guide our country from any major natural disaster as we go through this season, so that we know Dominica can continue on the path of development. Any disaster can set back the country. So we're asking God to spare us as we concentrate on our international airport and we continue to develop geothermal and all the many other important things that this government has promised it will do We want to continue doing it. So let's continue to pray and ask God for his mercy on us and our families. Thank you again. My name is Simeon Albert, together with Clarence Christian, saying good night to you. And do have a wonderful night rest. And again, we'll be back here with you on Saturday, if God's spare, where we will continue this discussion. The election is hot in St. Lucia, so big up to all my St. Lucian people and keep the campaign going. I know it's going to be hot. I'm looking forward to it. And it's getting interesting up there. King has resigned from the UPP. And, it's serious thing up there. They have two independent candidates running now, I believe, and Richard Frederick, King, and you have the Labour Party now coming forward, wanting to form a government of national unity, definitely putting a case forward, and so is Mr. Alan Chastanet. We'll be looking at that closely as they move along. Yes,
but Simeon, I see Chastanet do what UWP would have done in Dominica if they were in government, because they had a massive motorcade on last Sunday.
Yes.
And when they had their motorcade, Labour Party plan, their motorcade is coming Sunday.
Yes.
And the chief of police said no more motorcade in St. Lucia.
Well, Chastanet is basically afraid right now. I believe he is afraid. I don't know why.
No more motorcade in St. Lucia.
He's under pressure, and he's trying to suppress the Labour Party in St. Lucia because he wants to get a second term. And no doubt Dr. Kenny Anthony and all the many other folks, Philip J. Pierre and all the others in the Labour Party are campaigning there and trying to bring something different to the people there. We're going to watch this closely as they move to the 26th, which is going to be the big day when the people of St. Lucia are going to have to chant their way. They said that St. Lucia have more deaths where COVID-19 is concerned than the entire OECS countries put together. That is how Alan Chastanet did not manage COVID-19. And not only did he not manage it, but he's also been accused of borrowing over $500 million in front of this election for COVID-19, and the people can't see what he have actually done, how he have done it. So he has indebted the country heavily on that. There's a lot going on in the discussion. I'm following it, but we'll keep you abreast on that.
Yes, St. Lucia had more COVID cases than all the entire OECS countries put together.
Wow. That's something else. But and the amount of death. I mean, the amount of death they had. But we'll talk again about that, people. Take care. Do have a good night. God bless you. It's always a pleasure doing this for you. And as we said, we'll continue the good discussion again on Saturday, if God's Spirit alive. I leave you with none other than O'Donnell. Do have a good night. Rest, my people. Night.
Hey, give him Donald, I wondering who shot Donald, I wondering who shot who. Give them galagalang dang dang, galagalaga, galagalang dang dang. Boy, when the winner came, the rules remain the same. One team to lose, one team to win. If ever you lose, you go home and dress your bruise. Come back again in another game. Hey, O'Donnell, you remind me of him. O'Donnell, swear you both are family. When you storm the capital building, then inside your bunker hiding, it's the same thing Uncle would do. When you inside violence, then claim your innocence, it's the same thing Uncle would do. Hey, O'Donnell, you brought back so much memory. O'Donnell, it's like you're patterning on we. Same thing Uncle would do. When you broke and burn it up, same thing Uncle would do. When you push and mash it up, same thing Uncle would do. Lord.